business credit cards are, again, approval amounts could be from 10 to 150,000. It really just depends on your personal finances. 150,000, that would be the person with the 850 credit score that has a monthly income of $10,000 a month coming in, right? So if that's not you, then scale it back to where you'll actually be. But so here's where. So I want to see if they're talking about how much it costs. Oh, I switched. Oh, it skipped a slide. So we're talking actually here now. This is business credit. Okay, whole different animal. Okay, I missed the whole slide. I must have skipped past it. But on the personal side, what happens is that credit card stacking. You're going to see people in the industry charge anywhere from 9 to 10, maybe even as high as 12% as what's called a success-based fee, based off of however much money it's found. So the smaller the amount you're looking for, the larger the fee. The more money you're looking for, the smaller the fee, right? Okay, so now we're on to, so I totally skipped a whole slide here, but now we're on to, so there's personal credit, right? You can go out and get that, and some people give that to their business or not. No yawning in my presentation, because this is really exciting stuff. All right?
I had lunch. So
Business credit. So this is where you give a personal guarantee for a corporate card in your business name. Here's the difference. So if you're on the personal side, those all report to the personal credit bureaus. You are subject to all of the FICO scoring models, your utilization, all of those things matter. When you personally guarantee a business credit card, that whole credit card stacking process still is in play. All right, keep that in mind. So you will get inquiries, 5, 6, maybe 8 inquiries, right? That'll make your score go down easily by 100 points, right? But the great thing is after the personal guarantee to a business credit card is done. Now there's all kinds of people out there that say they have a business credit card. You know, like Capital One, their Sparks card. It's not really a business card, but they say it is, right? Because that reports on the personal side. They say it's a business card, but it's reporting personal, so it's of no use to you. But when you personally guarantee a business credit card that only reports to the business credit bureaus, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Small Business, or Business Experience, right? That doesn't show up on your personal. So you personally guaranteed a credit card, and so you took the hit for the inquiries, but then after that, you could rack that card up, utilization, right? You can continue to, that's probably the number one thing is the utilization that would throw people off. But that's not going to hurt you. Now, I hope this never happens, but a missed payment on a corporate card is not going to show up on your personal side either, right? So once that's on your, once you've guaranteed it, it's gone. The only time that comes back to you is if the business goes out of business or files bankruptcy, then all that debt magically transfers back over to you on your personal side. All right? Now,
so then it isn't bad to have like personal guarantee or business card.
no, it's what, here's what's bad. Guaranteeing the wrong type of account. So, and a lot of people aren't educated on which banks report and which ones don't. So, like I pick on Capital One, but they're not the only ones. But they frequently say that this is a corporate card. Like the worst one is all the ads you see on the internet for the Sparks card, right? And it's a business credit card, except for it doesn't report to the business credit bureaus, it reports to the personal credit bureaus. Yeah, so you're like, if you had this class and you're like, yeah, I got me a Capital One Sparks card, I'm gonna charge that up, and you're like, my personal credit's in the tank. Because it counts towards your utilization. So finding the right cards is very important. So when you do personally guarantee an actual corporate credit card that only reports to the business credit bureaus, now you haven't hurt yourself, but you are still on the hook. What if you're in a partnership and the other partners bail on you, right? You're left holding the bag if it's your personal guarantee. So here's my big pitch. I unless you have a plan to remove the personal guarantee, you know, that you're in control of. So if I can give a personal guarantee to a business, and then simultaneously, what Ray was talking about today, if I can build my business credit in 6 to 12 months, I now have an excellent business credit rating, then I'm gonna go back and have all those cards reassessed, or what's that process where you go through and you ask for them to either reduce your interest rate or increase your limit? It's that same process where you then remove the personal guarantee.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'll give a.
So it isn't a permanent thing, you know.
It doesn't have to be,
It's a
but
way
how
to
many
start.
banks are gonna say, you know what, Claire, you only have to leave that personal guarantee on there until your business has excellent business credit? No,
they
as
don't
long as you're okay leaving the personal guarantee there, they won't ever take it off.
There's no
Think of
push.
it like a secured account, because many secured accounts, they want to see that you can perform for a year, and then they will convert it to an unsecured.
Okay.
It's the same way. You're
That's-
securing it with your
yes.
personal guarantee, and then it'll become unsecured.
Or what if I wanted to, because I have adult children now, what if I wanted to co-sign on a home loan to help my daughter get into her first house? And I mean, we're talking a 30-year loan, but let's say over the next 3 years, she starts doing really well for herself, she's married, and she's got all this money. It's like, why don't we go ahead and look at, re-look at this account, and now that you're doing well enough, have me drop off. My teenager grew up, my little girl's a woman now. I don't have to stay personally guaranteed on that home loan in perpetuity, only until her credit is strong enough to carry it. Same type of thing with business, or like what Ray was saying with the secured account.
But one thing I would say is that it's good to maintain both of them, because a lot of times the personal credit cards will come back with the 6 to 18 months interest free. So sometimes it's cheaper to use the personal card to purchase stuff for the business also.
Well, here's my opinion on that. I'm going to disagree with you respectfully, because once you start getting educated on how personal credit works, you're going to realize that anytime I really go above 15% utilization on my cards, I really start hurting myself in little ways. And so it's like, they can give me if I have a $10,000 credit card, but I really can only use $1,500 of it, and have that build my credit score. What's the big diff? Why would I do that? When I compare that to, why would I go do that if I could just every 6 months or a year, however it takes, my personal credit score drops off, right? This is the entrepreneur in me. How many businesses are you allowed to own legally in the United States again? What's that number?
Infinite?
Infinite.
Oh, okay. So why wouldn't I just start a new business every year and give it a personal guarantee? And if my personal guarantee could get my business $75,000, $150,000 in corporate credit, right? Corporate credit, right?
Why not?
Because on my personal side, what can I get? I can get anywhere from 10 to 50,000.
Yeah.
Right? So why wouldn't I always use? The only time I ever use my personal credit is when guaranteeing my business, or if I have such a great personal credit, why don't I charge somebody money to personally guarantee their business? I want an equity position in your properties and your holdings. I want this much of your monthly cash flow, right? Why don't I turn that into, and then,
Business model.
yeah. If I have an 800, 850 credit score, why not sell it? If there's people who are really looking for the personal guarantee,
People do buy.
and I make them,
And people do that.
and
People buy.
and I'll make sure that you're building your business credit and removing my guarantee in 6 to 12 months.
We have seriously looked hard for partners.
I
All they want to
do it.
bring,
That's how I know
we're
it
just looking for
works.
somebody to bring good credit.
Yeah.
Guarantee this business dead,
So that's. So
and you get half the
so it's
company.
legal. It's legal to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But
Yes.
There's no
I call it
restrictions on
moving
that.
money.
In fact,
But I think the most inefficient way to use your personal credit is to get a personal credit card that you actually use. Because okay, so first of all, for it to not report negative, I have to stay under 50%. For me to grow my credit score, even at just the minimum amount, I need to be under 30. And for the maximum amount to grow my personal credit, I gotta be under 15, right? So
it all depends on what you need to do at that particular point in time. If you already got cars and a house, then I use my personal credit to fund businesses also. But I use it at the 0 to 18, 0% for 18 months to fund business ventures.
right, but if I can keep my credit score high,
I'm not really worried about my credit score
it.
at that time because I've already got everything I need.
Well, I just
I
respectfully
understand.
disagree
I mean,
because
it all
I
depends how you
mean, I
look
think,
at it. I understand.
if it works for you, do
Yeah.
that, but I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, what's the maximum amount of other people's money that I can get access to,
Mhm.
right? Personally, they're never gonna let me really go above 50. On the business side,
Mhm.
it's infinite, right? So wait a minute, 50,000 on the personal side, which you can do a lot with 50,000, and you can also use the personal credit to get into an auto loan or a home loan. You can get a HELOC. Great products,
Mhm.
absolutely nothing wrong with those. But the way our country has been established and the way business finance has been created, I mean, it's just no comparison. I mean, do you want a pile of cash that's taller than the ceiling, or do you want just a small little bucket of cash over here? Both are cash, both work, right? It's just whatever your needs are. Business is always gonna give you
Right.
this huge pile, right?
You know, one of the things I remember back quite a few years ago, we used to look for people with good credit as a business partner
Mhm.
because we could use their credit in order to get more mortgages
Mm-hmm.
in order to grow our business, because we didn't have this knowledge. So
Right,
I,
and
you
then
know,
the
I
credit
look
partner,
for,
and then the credit partners had so much more leverage, because if they're gonna be on the hook for in perpetuity, then they want, 60 to 80% of the company. And so then you're like, but now, because you're smart and you know what you can do, and yes, we still can use your credit,
Mhm.
but I don't need to give you the majority of my company, because I've got a plan to get you off. In fact, I could treat you like a lender. I don't even have to give you any ownership of my company. I can just set up a type of a note that pays you for use
for the
of,
use of,
right? Now, we can go into business together and you can use your credit. I mean, the options are just open now. And now that we have a safety net to get a lender out of it. Now, how do you think I go out and get people to give me their retirement accounts? Somebody who's been through 2 foreclosures and a bankruptcy. Who wants to invest with a guy who's made a train wreck of his own finances? Oh, did I also tell you that I have with my businesses, $50,000 that can back that up, right? So if anything goes wrong, right, I'll take the business credit and you can cash out. Oh, wow, another safety net. I didn't think about that. Well, sure, let me sign over $50,000, right? Right? Business credit is a great little, because what am I actually, all I've done is just done the work of buying some toilet paper and some printer cartridges, and now I've got business credit, and so now I can say, yeah, I can guarantee your funds for, 50,000. Wow, right? But what does that do for me? That's not the only reason why people lend to me, but if somebody's got money to lend and they can go to this project, that investor, all these different options, what do I bring that's unique? Because they're looking at all these different deals. Wait a minute, all these deals look good, but your deal, you've got me backed with business credit. These other guys just have me backed with the equity in their property, but who knows when that'll sell? You could just cash me out right now, if I so need to. Yeah. Okay, you're my guy. So when I started learning business credit just 2 years ago, I have to tell you, the amount of funds that I've raised is $1.25 million. Because people see the power in, wow, because not only can this guarantee their money, but what if here's something that happens a lot to somebody who lends money. We're in business together, you lend me money, and oh my goodness, project's running over. We need a little bit more money to get this done. So
Yeah.
I already borrowed money from you, now I have to borrow money again. But I now come up with business models that begin to fund themselves, right? I never need to go back and ask you for any more money after the initial seed capital. So people like that. See, this is different ways, kind of going into later presentation, giving some of that away. But business credit, very powerful stuff. See, did we skip ahead? No, we're still on business credit. Okay, so this would have been the second slide that you would have saw on personal too. So we, in the industry, we see a 10 to 12% success-based fees. So in credit card stacking, if they go out and they find you $150,000, like two of our last clients, one got $137,000 and the other got $135,000. Took 3 weeks to get it done, right? They personally guaranteed corporate cards. So their bill was, each of them paid about $11,000 and $12,000 because they were at 9. It was 9% or whatever they got charged. So that's what's powerful, because if you realize that everybody's going to get paid, it costs money to make money, right? Would you? I mean, and this isn't even money that you have. You don't have to pay this up front. We're going to go find you $150,000 of other people's money, and you have to pay us 9% of other people's money for our services for finding you all that money, right? So this is good stuff. Now, the other one talked about the credit requirements on the personal side. So if you're going to get going for personal, which we don't talk about personal too much, but the reason why I bring it up is to compare and contrast. 650 is what we like to see as a minimum on the personal side when you're trying to, I mean, when I say at a minimum, like if you have a 650, everything else has to be pretty strong in your report just to qualify for about 25,000, right? But 680 is the minimum for when you're giving a personal guarantee to a business. So if you're at 650, you can't even personally guarantee a business. Now, utilization. On personal side, if you're trying to get credit cards through a credit card stacking method, utilization has to be under 50%. For business, to guarantee a business card, your utilization now has to be under 30%.
So is there an amount of time that it needs to be under 30%? Like right now, all of my credit cards are maxed because of all the money I put into my house at Oregon.
That's a great question. No, there's no time frame on that. So so in this method, we do what's called, there's a couple things. Depending on what the amount of money you can qualify for is, and how much over you are at 30%, there are people that do a gap fund loan for 30 days to bring you under the 30%. Because let's say you qualify for $150,000, but you're over your 30% by $27,000. They'll give you a $27,000 loan. You get your money in 3 weeks, their 27 plus whatever, maybe 18-20% is due in 30 days. So you're able to pay for that, and yeah, it cost money and took up some of your funds. Use a strategy like velocity banking.
Yeah, you're buying a Porsche for the price of a Volkswagen, okay? Yeah,
Right,
and
right, but you're getting access to a corporate line of credit that doesn't report on the personal side.
Right.
So once you pay your credit cards off, how long does it take for that to reflect on your credit score? Usually.
Immediately.
It is? Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So on the personal side, on the business side,
Personal side.
could take long. Okay, so another thing that you would see here, the difference between the slides, the one that got skipped, is that when you're going through the credit card stacking method on the personal side, they are always looking for 8 inquiries or less in the last 6 months. But if you're going to guarantee a corporate card, now they want to see less than 4 inquiries in the last 6 months. The great news is inquiries, hard inquiries drop off every 6 months, right? So just keep an eye on that in your report. So this is obviously a great way to get funding for your cards, for your business. So one of the things that this slide, this is my favorite slide, because with corporate credit, which works a lot different than your personal credit cards, because if you want to access money off of a personal credit card, you have to do what's it called?
Cash advance.
Cash advance, and you don't get access to the full amount. So if I have a $10,000 limit and I wanna do a cash advance, I can get 2,500, maybe 3,000 at most in the cash advance. And my interest rate goes up to like 30%. But with business credit cards, many of them have a cash out capability, meaning that they're treated like a hybrid, both a line of credit and a credit card at the same time. So these hybrid programs don't exist on the personal side, but on the corporate side, very exciting. So when you have a $20,000 credit card and you can pull out $20,000 of cash, that's very powerful if you're in the real estate world and you need to put money down, cash, on a deal. A lot of things you can pay for with a credit card, but some things still require a cash or a check, right? So here's what you were talking about, Keith, rapid rescore, right? So sometimes when we run somebody's credit and check them, see if they qualify, and they don't qualify, most lenders say, well, you have to try back in 30, 60, 90 days, whatever the program is. But with rapid rescore abilities here with the lenders that we use, if you didn't qualify today and you fix the problem tomorrow, we can rescore you now the next day and then put your loan application through, basically voiding out the previous application. So if you went to a traditional lender, like a bank, and you filled out their loan application and you got denied, well, you have to wait a period of time before they'll accept another application from you. Not so with corporate credit cards, right? Again, so a lot of soft pulls are available if you know the right places to apply to, which is great because then we don't have to affect anybody's personal credit. Now, what's great about personally guaranteeing business cards is if you can get $25,000 to $50,000 in personal credit, right? Let's say through a credit card stacking method. That means that same credit profile that you use to get $25,000 to $50,000, right? You can take the same score, come and personally guarantee a business and get $75,000 to $150,000 for a business. Same person, but do they want to go get a personal credit cards or do they want to get business credit cards? Now this is where my good friend Eric Counts, who owns Credit Nerds, and I just differ in opinion because he's really good and there's nothing wrong with going to get personal credit. Get funded online, go check them out. They're going to do a credit card stacking method and get you anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 that you can use in personal credit cards. But remember, 50% utilization, you can't go over it, right? So if he gets you 50, you can only use 25, right? If you want to grow your credit score, you've got to use no more than 12,500 of that, right? So now, take the same person that went and got that 50,000 with Eric, come over here to Credit Suite, and we get you 75,000 to 150,000, same score, same scoring model, but now your business has access to all this credit. Both persons got hit with the same inquiries, so their score takes the same hit. But over here, you can use 100% utilization on all those lines of credit, right? Now, what did it cost over here with Eric? Maybe 8% on the first 25,000 or something like that. Over here, you might have had to pay 9% for the full amount. But which one are you ending up ahead? Which one do you have access to more money, right? I mean, this is just where it just makes sense. Now, if you don't have a business, then start one. But if you're not ready to start one, then go work with Eric Counts and get some personal credit and then start learning about this stuff because you can use and leverage your personal credit to get business credit. But once you start understanding how business credit works, I mean, I am now just, I do not worship at the altar of the FICO score anymore, right? I don't care what my credit score is anymore because I work with a business and I work with business credit. And if something goes wrong, then I'm gonna, I'm sorry that a mistake was made or something happened, might be my fault, not. All right, let's take care of it, everything's paid off. Let's just go start a new business. How long is it gonna take me to establish an excellent business credit rating?
Within 6 months.
6 to 12 months. Right? Now, on the personal side, I make a mistake. Doesn't matter my fault, somebody else's fault. How long does it take me to fix that?
I
I'm still trying to fix it, okay?
Years, I have an IRS lien from somebody else, so, you know, what can you say?
And here's another thing.
Corrected.
These personal guarantees, they don't have to come from you. Alright?
Right.
You can have somebody else give a personal guarantee for your business. Do they have to be an owner of your business? No. Do they have to be a manager of your business? No. Now, does it help? I mean, you will have a wider option of lenders available to you if the person actually has some kind of stake in the company. But there are still a pool of lenders that they don't care. Just give me somebody who's on the hook, right? Right?
One of the other things this does is it more solidifies the veil between personal and business. Keeping your
Absolutely.
business away
So
from
when you personally guarantee a business, you have, in some respects, set yourself up for what's called commingling, right? You don't have to, but because you've intertwined yourself, what you do here is,
I mean, if you're using your personal credit,
that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I mixed myself. The very first option, if you use personal credit cards to fund your business, you are commingling.
No,
There's no way around that.
that's
You are.
not true. That's not true.
that's
not
you're
true.
right. You're right. You're right. Because
Right.
you're right in that it's technically not, but the IRS can look at that and go,
The IRS won't
you're
look at it
using
like
your own
that.
personal
No, no.
credit.
They won't look at it
Right.
like that. It depends on what, if you're trying to take expense for that with the credit card, that's what it commingling. Commingling comes from, say if you have a business
Yeah.
account and he's trying to pay his personal residence with that
Right.
business account,
Right.
that's considered commingling funds because there is no layer between the two.
Right.
I absolutely agree 100% with everything you're saying. Here's my point though. The IRS sees that you have personal credit cards being used for the business, even if you have the accounting for it, will not stop the fact that they can do an audit and run you on that, just because of the impropriety of how that looks. Now you prove it and you do all of it, but you still have to jump through all of those hoops. All it
Yeah.
takes is a personal credit card, right, and you can have the accounting and set it right. But if they see personal credit cards, the IRS is the most.
It just makes it
I'm
more
just
likely.
saying,
to
I do taxes. I've never seen that happen before. But if you say you've seen that happen before, then I agree. I've never seen it happen before. I have business clients that don't have enough business credit and they use their personal credit cards for business.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I'm saying
You
is
just
is
have to
that,
make sure you got all the documentation.
That's what I'm saying, you
for
got to-
everything,
yeah.
and here's what, you do taxes. Tell me, how many clients have commingled their funds?
Quite a few of them.
Okay, and so because.
But I also know if you give a client a lot of capital, and that can set them up for failure also if they don't have the right accounting system in place also. So just you give them $75,000 and then they're reckless with their spending, you can actually do more harm than them than
Yeah.
actually helping
Absolutely.
them.
You know what all credit is fire.
Yeah.
You can get burned.
I know that's
Or
right.
you can use it to light a
Absolutely.
fire and cook your food. You know,
Absolutely.
if you don't know how to use this tool,
Absolutely.
Right?
No,
You cook
so
food,
what
you
I'm
can cook
ta-
yourself, why don't
all
you?
I'm,
Yeah.
all I'm talking about is when you use personal credit cards on your business, you
Mhm.
expose yourself to the commingling. That's the point I was trying to make. Now, I might not be commingling at all, but I can still have an auditor who will look at that and then they will make sure. And if you are an accountant, a CPA or anything like that, you'll make sure that the ledger shows everything is clear, what everything was spent for.
Right.
And then you're good, no
Mhm.
problems. Now, when you have a corporate credit card, right, you could still end up commingling because if you whip out that card and pay for something personal, you've gone the other way, right? Don't commingle, right? But what is not commingling is if I personally guarantee a corporate card, right? So that's I think kind of the point you were going down was, well, I can personally guarantee without risking commingling. Just that act is, but how responsible you are with the fire you've been given
Right.
is what's going to lead to where it is.
Absolutely.
So, I think we got exciting here for a little bit, but we all agree, right? Okay,
All on the same page.
all right. And corporate credit. Corporate credit, this is the place we all want to be.
That's the holy grail, right?
This is where, okay, your business has 14 accounts reporting positively on your account, right? This is where if you've gone through building your business credit, all 4 steps, this is the end process, right? At any given time over the past 6 months, any credit issuer needs to see 14 credit accounts reporting positively on your business credit report, and not just 14 accounts, but they're also looking at the limits. They need to see 2 or 3 of those accounts have a limit of 10,000 or more, right? So when you have achieved that status, your business, no personal guarantees, can just go out and get corporate credit cards. Apply for everything that comes in the mail, right? Never stop applying. Everything that's out there, everything and anything, because inquiries do not hurt the corporation, right? So this is where you want to get to. Now, there's a couple other things when it comes to credit that you can use. So, we talk about cash flow, credit, and collateral as individual things, right? If you want to get an SBA loan, you need all 3, but sometimes you just need a combination of the 2. Now, you can also get lending on any one, so if it's just the cash flow, go through the credit card stacking method, whether you have personal credit or a personal guarantee for a business, or you have corporate credit, go out and get credit. But with peer-to-peer lending, here's what's great. You can just take cash flow, if your business has cash flow, and if you have credit, combine those 2 strategies to gain access to money. So how do you do that? Well, again, it's going to check your personal credit. This is what's great, because your fees are going to range anywhere from 0.5% all the way up to 10%, right? Your terms, 1 to 5 year loans, and the loan amounts from $25,000 up to $50,000. Peer-to-peer lending. There's a lot of websites here, and so that are out there. We help people find the right peer-to-peer lenders that match the strengths of their credit scores and their income to debt ratio and
Builder program. This part right here is all this part of that program also. This set.
Well, the other side is called direct funding.
Okay.
So you can start direct funding if you have good personal credit and want to give a personal guarantee, or your business is established and you have some of the cash flow, or you meet the credit, or we're going to go over collateral next. So you meet some of those requirements, you can get some direct funding now. And then when they have established an excellent business credit rating, they then take that over to the direct, and you lend me some money, right? That's private. And then there's institutionalized private money, right? This would be more institutionalized. These are people who are either in hedge funds or retirement accounts, or they've gotten together in different groupings, and they're willing to lend and make up private deals between you. So the private term loans that we have set up, that we see with people within the network that we work with, require a 625 FICO score. But I mean, that's what's on the paperwork. The approvals we see are 700 or better, right? But they only require 1 year in business. They're looking for $10,000 in monthly revenue, tax returns that show a profit. We talked about that earlier. Is it wise to pay, to itemize everything out? And man, I don't have to pay any taxes. I mean, we've taken classes. We've got 2-day long classes that show us how to get down to 0, right? And when you're just starting out, year 1, year 2, year 3, that's probably you're gonna need to do that because you don't have the liquidity. But if you want to, graduate from milk to solid food, right? If you want to grow up as a business, you can't always be at net 0. And so there are people who did a deal and then they're like kicking themselves because they weren't set up correctly. Now they got to pay taxes. That's not a bad thing. The taxes you might have done $100,000 deal. You made that much in profit, and now you get this $15,000 tax bill. You're like, oh, why didn't I structure this better? Why? Oh, and you feel like a total failure. Like, what did I didn't listen to my classes. All isn't lost. Because of the income that you ended up having to report and show and the taxes that you paid, there are plenty of lenders, especially peer-to-peer lending and private term loans, that say, wow, look at this profitable business, look at what you did. I'm willing to lend you a whole bunch of money. So you paid $15,000, and all of a sudden, what did that get you? That got you $50,000 in the term loan, right? So what did your taxes really cost you, right? You paid taxes, but then you turned around and used that to go get a term loan, and now you're ahead. You see that? So people are so scared of the taxes as the boogeyman when it's not really that scary if you know how to be fundable, you know how to leverage it. Okay, that's my little soap opera on taxes. I think avoiding taxes is not a wise strategy. Pay your taxes, right? Do everything the right way. And as your business grows and you show profit, wonderful. That's going to get you access to even more money, right? And if you're not turning a profit, itemize, deduct everything out, claim losses, and don't pay taxes on that because you shouldn't have to, right? If you know how to leverage the system the right way, I'm telling you, the whole IRS tax code is designed to help businesses succeed, not fail. But the people who don't take the time to learn it fail because they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? So what are the terms like? So there's a lot of options available also without tax returns because there are people that will just look at bank statements. Ray brought that up earlier, right? So if you're especially a lot of new businesses, right? You've been in business for 1 year, you might have postponed your taxes, right? What's that? Not a deferment, but just a postponement.
Extension.
You mean extension?
Extension, thank you. So you extend your taxes. So you met the 1 year requirement, but you still don't have a tax return to apply. Well, that's okay. If you've got 12 months of bank records, then they can go off of the revenue that they see from there. And it went off the screen. Didn't even mean for it to. But the terms are with private loans are great because you can get low interest rates. I mean, 0.5%. I mean, come on, that's great. I mean, and here's the thing: the more you utilize any type of loan product, the better the terms and the rates you get, right? I will go back and say this one thing about credit. A lot of people like to use the strategy where I got this 0% card and I used it and then it was over and then I moved to another 0% card and I moved to this other 0% card. In the industry that we work, we have found that eventually catches up with you, right? It doesn't catch up with you right away, not year one, not the first card, but typically about 4 or 5 cards into doing that, the banks get wise to, you know what, we're not making any money off of you, and we've cut you off from all 0% financing deals, all right? So if you want the 0% financing deals to never end, keep the cards, and when it goes from 0% up to, if it's a corporate card, it could go to 5, 9%, 12%. That's not a big deal, right? Still keep, what you have a limit, still process through about 1% on that card every month, right? And the banks will love you, and you will never see an end to 0% financing coming your way. But if you think you're going to game the system, and I'm going to stop using the 0% card because it now just gave me a new interest rate, and I'm going to go use this 0% card, the day will come when you run out of your 0% cards. And because of your track record, your interest rate you get will be a lovely 25 or 30% until you prove that they can make money off of you again.
And they may also reduce your limit. Your credit line.
Well, on all those cards that you stopped using, right?
Yeah.
If you go 6 months unused, they'll start cutting the limit to eventually they'll close the account. So if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
All right, so guys, is this not like the most exciting stuff? I've watched so many of you yawn, fall asleep, head bob. I mean, I'm telling you, this stuff is exciting. Woo!
It is.
Right? Does anybody need to like walk up and get the blood flowing? Because we're going to get into collateral-based financing.
Yep, need a break.
Ooh, talk about a yawner right there. I'm kidding. This is great stuff, especially if you are in the real estate investing persuasion. Collateral-based financing is some of the coolest stuff that we got.
Yes.
You guys ready to push through it?
Break time.
There's coffee over there. You need a break?
Yeah.
Okay, you got 1 minute. Go, 60 seconds.
Well, I don't think I can get to that.
Everybody back up in 60 seconds.
All right, no, we will do 11 minutes by that clock.
Okay.
Back here at quarter till. All right?
Oh, man. I can talk about this all day.
And
I love financing. No, I'm just
I'm not
saying.
trying to be adversarial
Oh,
with
no,
you.
no, and I appreciate that. I mean, because doesn't let me know that I need to do more research or, you know, because I represent people in taxes.
You gotta
and-
settle it the old-fashioned way.
That's
No,
You might fight.
no, but it's actually good that, you know, that I, you know, hear this stuff and, you know, because a lot of times, but I've seen businesses where, you know, you set them up for failure if they don't have the right account and everything like that, because, like, for instance, I'm doing a guy, he's at a mechanic shop.
It is.
He can't manage the money he's got now. And they're, but you know, they got these, I call them predatory lenders. When they go, when they call you on the phone and say, hey, we got money for you, it's $20,000, but, you know, the fine line that you gotta pay this back in 6 months, so the interest rate is being like 50-some%, but it's daily. So,
Right.
if you don't have that cash flow coming on a daily
Here's the difference,
basis, now you got these
It's
balance
kind of a
transfer
dual
fees
system what
that
they're
are
doing.
adding up also, because that
Really,
money's
you're in
guaranteed to
startup.
come out on a daily
Right.
basis.
So
Predatory
you can
lending is when
use
you
that
lend
card.
money
You
to
can use
somebody that
credit
you know
or credit
can't pay you
to-
back. on
But
the
you
terms.
know these guys, but
line of
those,
credit.
because
They can qualify, they can qualify for the loan,
So-
but they
So you
can't
make
afford
that
it.
first
Right.
dollar, you're in startup.
And so it's easy to
So
qualify
once you
when
make
you
that
have
first
that,
dollar,
because they're
you
looking
have
at the
that
gross
credit
deposits
that's
coming in.
Yeah.
But that's when you have people
Push all
like
that stuff
myself
over.
and you like,
Well, I
oh,
think
yeah.
that that's
Card
what's
anyways.
evil right there, is
Right.
nobody should calculate
There's nothing wrong
DTI
with that,
based
it's
off
just
of
where
gross,
you-
because
But that's
nobody
what they
lives
do.
off,
But
I
that's
know
what
they
they
do,
do.
I know they
on
do.
the road. That's all it's really
You know,
gonna do. The
I
most.
don't know, at least
They just
once
don't
a
like it
month I
because
get a
of
call.
laundering of money.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
But as long as you have your receipt for in a row, it's a headache for someone like that. But
hey, you know,
You can still use it
we've,
that
you know,
you just have to show why,
hi, this is
how.
Sarah, I'm calling about that,
you do,
that
I would highly suggest don't
$250,000
charge anything
loan we talked
personal on
about,
it.
like, first off.
So you
we
have it
talked
paid
about
off.
And that's what I was planning on doing, is once I get everything
You know,
paid off.
And,
Then
you know, give me a call
that's the
back and
separation. It's like as of
let's talk
December
about
1st,
how to get that,
from that
you
point
know,
on,
I'll call them, I'll say,
nothing
hey,
but
look,
business.
Right.
All the personal
I'm
stuff goes
not-
to
So again, you
I'm
have
not netting
another one, or until you have that all
$10,000
paid off.
I'm
Like I
not
said, you use
interested
that
in
credit,
your
like they're
loan.
saying, to open up a new
Yeah.
business credit.
You just have to
Take
be,
take me and
That's
take
what I
my
do.
business off your list.
but the problem is,
That is-
those
that's
those
the thing that's
institutions are
interesting.
selling your information
They don't
also.
have to take you off the list.
Dun and
What if you
Bradstreet
pass
sells
like
your information,
$10,000 a
Experience
month?
sells your information, Equifax sells you. As soon as you
Yes,
start going for
you
your
don't get this
guns,
from
you
your
start
account.
improving your
One of the
credit,
worst things
they
is
selling
that
that
the-
information to
the
the
ding-
creditor, so they're gonna call you anyway.
Three
Which
big
is
things
why
get a
one
ding
of the
on your
things
credit
we
check
coach you
ring
on is
down.
never tell
One's
Dun and
paying all your cards
Bradstreet
off.
Yeah.
what your
Especially
gross
once-
or net profit
Leave a
is.
little
Right,
bit.
yeah,
Then,
I
yeah.
just have to put
Then,
the P&L,
Then,
I'll
yeah,
put P&L
you
on
pay
it.
to zero.
Well, that'll put you on
It
everybody's
just still
list.
drops
Yeah.
down.
And
It just probably just
if you
won't
tell them, I'm not making
climb.
any
You
money,
know,
guess
it
what
may
you
go down a
tell
little bit.
everybody
So
who
not
it's
making
you
any
pay
money.
them all off.
This
once
business
you
doesn't
throw
make any money.
nothing
Yeah.
on there.
So you don't tell them nothing.
No, I
Closing
don't.
out an account that you had for a long
And another
time.
thing is they'll ask you, how many
Right,
employees you
and
have?
then,
Yeah.
Don't ever
Is that-
tell them how
it's a-
many
Yeah.
employees you have.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, for your
some
cards, you
lenders
should have a-
use number of
other
employees
things,
as a
car,
metric
your
to see
house,
if
your-
Right.
you're
all
actually
these
successful.
others.
My debt will
Yeah.
be zero.
There you
How many
go.
employees do you
So-
have? Enough?
Infinite.
And I make $105,000 a year on
Yeah,
my
we
job.
have enough, I'm
Infinite.
not looking for more right at the moment, but when we start expanding
So,
again, I'll
really
be
good.
looking for more.
Well, I actually do a little bit different. The way I coach people to handle a phone call with Dun and
Now, you
Bradstreet
should get a
is
$45,000
if you're playing
on one
poker
house,
and the person that was across the table's all chat, he asked me questions, he's like,
Stuff, not.
so if I'm asking, it's like, so I'm applying for my free DUNS number.
Right.
And then, like, so they just go through my profile, and
Yeah.
that's correct. They say, what's your,
Nothing on my credit. No
they
debt
say,
on my
so
credit.
what's your gross revenue?
Right.
So, and then I just say,
Yeah.
so are we done here?
You're much better
Can I have
saying
the free
that.
DUNS number now?
That's-
Oh, no, I
that's why
asked you,
should
what about
have
how much you're making?
a really
I know,
good- Eventually, when it,
are we
when
done?
everything rolls
Yeah.
around,
It's
then
like,
that's what I was.
do I have to
was
answer that
asking how long
question?
it takes.
So they're like,
Sort of.
well, no,
That should be out.
I get a little adversarial for them, are we done? I'm like, I always act like I'm in a hurry, I don't have time to talk to you. Are we done?
Yeah, I got, you know,
Credit score will
I got
make sure
some
I'm
food on the
right,
ta- on the.
exactly.
Go next week.
Or just,
Yeah.
or just
I
moderate.
got
But I
steaks,
mean-
I got steaks on the
Yeah.
grill, and
Down
you're
below
keeping
that,
me from
that
getting them.
50%.
Well, their
They'll probably
approach
pay 'em
is
off.
so like,
Mhm.
you're talking to your
Yeah.
mom, you're talking to your best friend, they're so nice, but they are gonna try and say, look, I gotta help you, you gotta do
And
it.
then-
And so, I just
It's
double
like a
back on them and like,
business
when they call me, I'm already
And actually, I kind
irritated.
of planned on
What are you
doing it
calling me
anyway.
about?
because
I thought this was
I'll pay
taken care of.
Quite a bit
You
of
mean
it,
this isn't done yet?
and then
What do you
I'm
need?
out of
Let's
money.
get this done. I only have like a
December
couple
15th,
minutes.
where I
And
get
so
like
I'm taking them out of their
15,000
game.
from my
Well,
401k,
we got all
and
this
then
thing.
finish
Is there a
it.
better time to call? No, I don't have time to
So
talk
that's
to you. What is
another
it you
month.
want? Let's get
Yeah,
this
for
done.
the day.
Right.
Right? And so
Who's that one
I
through?
take them out of their
That 401k?
element.
Not-
and
obviously
then a
not
lot
the
of
one you're in
times,
now, right?
I just get through the call. Maybe because
Yeah, I've
they're
got 14,000
And it's
left
done.
on
Always
this
done the free
401k,
DUNS number.
so I'm gonna pay that
And,
off November 15th.
Yeah,
I feel like a
well,
jerk.
Yeah,
when I do
four-
that.
Well, you know,
$14,000.
well, they try to
It's
sell you, they
business,
try to
though.
sell you their business builder
It's
package and all the time. It's like,
$114,000.
no, it's fine, I thank you very much for that
That's
opportunity,
another
but
good way of
no,
doing
I
stuff
don't,
too, yeah.
no. You know, this
So,
is
yeah,
a
it's-
brand new
I'm-
startup, you know,
Got all
this
kinds
is
of
what I did
charts.
way back.
It's where this and here's my dates and
2012.
spreadsheets.
So,
and-
hey, this is a brand new startup company,
Okay.
I got a really big question for you.
I'm just letting
I've got
done.
the cash flow app working.
I also do the agent of limited
Yeah.
authority with them
Oh,
all
we're
the
gonna
time.
try it tonight?
Because I
Sure.
have a
Okay.
partner, you know, instead of,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got
my partner had me call and said, just get the free DUNS number.
I got tired of
And
having to do stuff on the, on
I don't
paper.
make those
Right.
decisions.
So I
My business
built a
partner said,
cash
he
flow
just
app.
said, get the DUNS number.
There you go.
Can we talk to him? He's
Something was wrong with the
charged
other
us.
app. There was
I just
another
got-
app out there. It
Yeah,
doesn't work
it
on
doesn't
your
I do
phone.
agent of limited
The-
authority all the time.
now that I've got the app, it works. But when you start
I'm
the,
talking
we
to
pay a
somebody,
little
you
bit
are
more
on the
advanced
documents, I
than
do see you,
the
But
standard.
you're saying you can't
So
make
when
the
I throw
decision.
like
No.
the HELOCs into it, I gotta still do some personal
I'm not high enough. on
calculating.
But I mean, it's
There you go.
crucial, sometimes, man, they can.
Well,
There
they
you
can
go.
be
Well, I mix it up
absolutely
because I
fine.
can't always do the same thing because I got 7 businesses.
I tried, there
And
were
I
two
don't
of
wanna
them
say the
that I
same thing every
downloaded
time.
on my phone.
Yeah.
Then
Neither
they'll
one of
figure me
them
out.
worked. Where's the crap?
The one I have wasn't good. It's not set up to do anything like
But
what
yeah,
we're
so
doing.
we,
It'll handle all of it.
but I tell you what, you know what I would
It just
love,
won't handle.
because I got other businesses like where I do marketing. I would love.
Probably, I don't
to
know.
have
I've not had a
that
problem
streets
with it
person
since
on
I've been.
marketing.
My problem is
Oh my goodness, you know how much business I would
when you get
close?
so busy,
if one of
you're
them
doing
were-
something else, and all of a sudden you forget to
Somebody said one here in Tucson is closed.
subtract out from the HELOC, or you forget to, and it's like all of a sudden you got more in the account, or you got less in the account, and
Well, doesn't Bradstreet close? There's an opportunity.
Where there's adversity, somebody's gonna make money off it.
Yeah.
All right, come on in, folks.
When there's
Does
Pleasant
that mean you
Street,
guys become
money to be
Joseph
made.
and Ray Street?
Yeah.
Dun and Blood Street, what?
Smith,
Dun and Bradstreet,
Smith,
Tucson is
Smith and
close.
Fleming Street. Smith and Fleming, or is that Smith and Fleming Road? Right? I tripped him up and he got it right and I messed it up really. He's like, wait a minute, because he used to trip it up and I just messed him up anyway. All right, hey, guys.
Fleming and Smith, I mean, come
We've
on.
got to get through, we've got so much good stuff still left for you, and we only have a little bit of time left to get through this. So Ray's going to race through collateral because, now, here's something important here. We're going to talk about collateral-based financing, and based off of the people that are in this room today, you might find that 90% of this collateral-based financing doesn't even apply to you in your business model. That doesn't mean tune out, because just because it doesn't apply to you doesn't mean it doesn't apply to somebody else that you know. And how do we raise capital?
Sometimes, but
Right. And so if I know somebody who can qualify for funds and they're interested in my business model, but they're telling me they have no money, oh, well, we just need to bring you in to talk to the wise guys at Ties, because let me tell you, you actually you're sitting on more money than you think you are,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so don't tune out, keep a mental note of all these different things, because you might have other programs, like if you sell potions and lotions or real estate education programs, whatever it is that you might, and if somebody,
Is that a shameless
He
plug?
said
That was
lotions
good
and
plug.
potions
Shameless
and
plug
real
me.
estate
Or-
education.
no,
That was
but,
good.
but here's here's the point that I make, if there are any marketers here in the room, don't discount this information, because it's very powerful to helping people who, I mean, I talk to people literally, every day. I'm on the phone to at least 2, 3, sometimes 5 people a day who are looking to change their life. They hate where they're at, and they have a business, or their cousin or their father or somebody has this business, and they feel stuck in life. And then when you start bringing this information that Ray's going to share with you next, and they've never even thought of that before, all of a sudden the clouds part, the light shines down, a choir of angels sing, and it's not a reflection of a Porsche. It's actually a way out.
Mhm.
It's refreshing. So please welcome to the front of the room, Mr. Ray Fleming.
Thank you,
Right.
sir.
Could have been way out.
Okay. Great job, Joseph.
Thank you.
Credit is such a challenging topic to go into. Whew. We are on to the last aspect.
A blank screen.
Alakazam.
Alakazam.
Hiya.
Weeda, Slendermere.
Hiya. Hiya. You know, one of these will work.
And did the volume online come back?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Did you turn off your mic?
No.
You know what? All that credit chat and it froze your computer.
I'm telling you. This stuff is so powerful that not even a computer can contain it. I'm telling you.
So you're having to reboot the computer?
It's a fuzzy screen with a little wheel that's spinning.
A fuzzy
Circle
screen
of
with...
death.
It's thinking about if it's not going to
Thinking.
respond.
It's
Oh,
there we go.
there it is.
We're back to smashing
It's
pumpkins.
thinking about not responding.
Smashing pumpkins. There you go.
Oh, look at that. Wow. If you guys could see what I'm looking at. Oh, look at this. And you know what? It even changed the way that it's been.
Looks like you got a settings setting out there that's open.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Could have something to do with we have a whole bunch of online apps running.
Hey, there we go.
You only have 2.
Perfect. Alright, got this looking good.
So that's Elijah and Shepherd, cutest little boys in the whole world.
There we are. And we are back up and running.
Collateral.
Alright, cool. We got some collateral. This is a very large file of a PowerPoint. This is a huge PowerPoint file. Collateral-based funding. So what can you use? So we're going to give you like an overview really quickly of what you can actually use. Anything that actually is worth anything. I mean, you can collateralize anything. Think of a pawn store. They collateralize anything. You can pretty much collateralize anything for your business. Even some type of personal assets. So let's see, accounts receivables. We have purchase orders. Those are powerful. Book of business. Anybody insurance agent? Equipment. Now, when we get into book of business, that's something that's really powerful because it teaches an interesting principle on buying businesses. Commercial real estate, commercial vehicles, inventory, stocks, bonds, those can be used on the personal side. Other securities, 401ks, IRAs, and real estate. Your personal residence, if you want to use that. Or you could use that
Oh,
for
unlocking. Oh, cute.
unlocking, yes.
Unlocking the bus.
All created with a software called Doodly.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool software.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're interested in, we can also get you a discount on that software.
I just don't like. I don't like that particular hand. That particular hand. I like
Oh,
one of the other.
we can remove the hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's cartoon hands.
There's also
like
back
that
end.
hand.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. You think that the only thing
And yeah,
I
if
sell
we send
is
Dooley some business,
real
they
estate?
will send us
I sell
money.
everything.
I
They
see.
should. We do a lot of advertising.
Nobody here should have a problem.
Would you like to buy that cookie off of me?
No, I would not like to buy that cookie.
So, hard money, this is usually referred to in real estate. You can get this fast purpose of acquiring and to rehab real estate. Lenders will loan anywhere from 55 to 80% LTV, which is
Loan to value.
loan to value, secured by deed of trust in first position usually. Terms are usually 6 months with extensions available. Rates anywhere from 6% to 14 points, 0 to 6 points. Many times no personal credit checks are required. It depends on how much funding you're actually looking for. It also depends on how much business you've actually done. If you have any experience, you know, what we're talking about, percentage rates are directly correlated to risk. So a brand new investor is going to pay 14%. After you've done a couple things with them, they may increase how much they're actually going to lend you. They may lend you money on rehab as well, if you have a little bit more experience, or if you have good personal credit. If you have good personal credit, they're going to give you more than just based off the asset.
The loan to value, that's generally loan to acquisition value, right?
It depends.
Well, it does,
But yeah, for the most part of like, what's the current market value of this property?
right?
What is this worth? Is it, if it's currently worth $100,000, we'll give you 80. Depends, or they might give you only 60. It depends on like your experience level, your risk level, your business type. If you're not using your personal credit, you're not going to get as much as somebody that is putting their
I think he
personal
was
credit.
talking about current value versus after repair value, APR.
AVR?
No,
What were you saying?
ARV.
Then after
But no, I mean,
on initial purchase.
all the
it's
hard
17.
money loans I've ever had were based upon the acquisition price. Even though the property might be worth $150,000, but I'm buying it for 80,
Right.
No,
they're only going to loan me 70.
Right. They won't give you all of it. Yes.
Right. You know,
That's
so
skin in the game.
we got into the habit of saying, okay, I know what your loan to value rate is and based upon, but what's your coverage? So what will it actually cover? So
Right.
it only covers, 80% of the
Purchase.
actual purchase.
Right.
So
But
they
your
want
business
you to
credit,
have
your
some skin
business
in the
credit
game.
can be used as your skin in the game.
Oh yeah.
Well, right. So
Yeah.
it all reduces risk. So you get better interest rates, better terms with better business credits. Yeah. And then so this is kind of one of those things. We use hard money as kind of just as a blanket for all real institutional lending on. We're usually talking about residential or, some smaller units. We don't really, hard money can also be used on like commercial, but real estate funding. That's usually when we use that term, hard money. So the other aspect too, well, I'm gonna cover commercial here in a second. Commercial real estate. Slightly different than if you're funding a flip. Actually it's quite different. So loans anywhere from 75,000 to 20 million. So a lot of these are what we're talking about, like Joseph said, these are things that we can help get funding for. 55 to 65 loan to value. 2 years of financials, tax returns, P&Ls, debt schedules. Business must have cash flow to make payments. 650 personal FICO required, personal guarantee, pledge asset is usually required for this. Now there are non-recourse commercial collateralized loans. Those don't require personal guarantees. We'll also talk about those in a little bit. But for many of commercial real estate funding, they like to have some type of personal guarantee in place on lots of it. But it doesn't mean that that's always the case. So you can refinance multiple residential properties. So if you got 5 residential properties, you can kind of bundle that into one larger commercial loan. So the important thing to think about as we're talking about all these 2 years financials, tax returns, P&Ls, debt schedules, why are they looking at all these things? So that's important for you to think about as you're going through business. What are they going to be looking for? Like you're a huge push for strong accounting, bookkeeping. Huge problem for me in the beginning. I did not take care of my accounts. I did not take care of my books. Everything is commingled. I'm just, I'm transferring things in cash. Nothing is lining up. It's creating an absolute nightmare. And when that's just a nightmare for trying to do my taxes, let alone when somebody who's going to lend me money looks at that, it's just a mess.
Nuts.
So having a good bookkeeper, a good accountant to make sure your books are in order is one of the best things you'll ever spend money on. Because I'm not really good at keeping good records. So that's why I should pay somebody to help me keep good records. I know that I'm weak in that area, so I should not be doing it. So what are lenders looking for, and will this hurt us? So as we're going through things, thinking about that, if we go down this path and we do not hire, somebody that is we're gonna pay somebody, $50 a week to maintain our accounts, how's that gonna hurt us in the long run? See, in your situation, you kind of do that for your business. You have a background in accounting. So I don't have a background in accounting. That's not my strength, so I should not be doing that. It's you have business partner Frank. Frank's really good at hands-on out there in the field.
Landscape.
Yes, hands-on guy.
Yeah, and Doug is really good with design, and I'm not good with design. So
Right.
it's kind of synergistic.
Exactly. Utilizing people that
I'm
are
good at raising money, Ray's good at spending it.
Yeah.
So did you, I'm sure.
Yes.
Get
Yes,
the money
indeed.
you can.
It's a lot easier going shopping with other people's money. Not that that sounded really bad. Hey, that
But
sounded
it's true
bad.
though. It is a lot more fun to spend somebody else's money than your own.
Sometimes you can have clarity when using other people's money. When emotions are not involved. Because emotions, when they get involved in business, they tend to fog your opinion of things. I had that issue when it was just me, and I'm looking at, I shouldn't spend this $500 for what reason or another. That can cloud my judgment on, if I was an outside perspective, yes, spend the $500 on the attorney because it's going to save you $1 million down the line. Me, I'm like, if I'm too attached to the money, which I've done a very good job now of detaching myself from the funds, but it's one of these things, it's easy for our emotions to get interact with our personal funds. It's very easy. So let's talk about commercial vehicle funding. So you can get money to purchase the vehicles, bus trucks, emergency vehicles, huge ticket items usually. We're talking substantial purchase price. Ambulances are, like $800,000. I don't know, they're really, really expensive. I don't know exactly how much a new ambulance is, but I think they're
I
they're
do.
out there. How much are they?
120.
120 for an ambulance.
Yeah. Well, it depends on where you buy it, but
Okay. I was almost there.
if you want a decent
Well,
Braun, which is the best.
What about fire truck? Fire trucks? Those are like 800, right?
Oh, they're very expensive.
Yeah, there you go.
And it depends on how you spec them out.
Remember, building business credit can help with your vehicle financing and purchase leases without using a personal guarantee. You can also borrow against free and clear vehicles. So like a title loan, but there's other ways of doing it for much cheaper. So tractors, equipment, those can all be collateralized because that's something that happens a lot. We'll talk about sale leasebacks and things like that as well. And like we said, there's been people that I know that have funded deals and projects with having old tractors. We were talking about you have an old skid steer. So things like that, worth say $13,000. You could easily get up to 50% of that. What that value is on a lease back.
Yeah, now I don't want to sell it because I know I can get money for it without selling it.
You go get $6,000 out of that thing and then still be able to use it and maintain it and then lease it out to pay it off.
Yeah.
So account receivable, number one type of asset-based lending. Receivables can be collateralized up to $20 million. 90% of the receivables could be advanced within 24 hours. Now there's some stipulations to this. Usually there's a 4% fee that's built into that. With any type of funding, there's always some type of origination fee. They maybe charge 2 points on top of what the prime rate is. There's always an extra fee somewhere. That's how they get paid. No personal or business credit scores to qualify. That's what's cool. Now, this is the thing. Receivables must come from another business or government agency. Must be in business for at least 1 year to qualify. Medical receivables can qualify along with construction, conventional receivables. So let me explain this a little bit. When you're going down this route, they aren't looking at you. They're looking at who's going to pay you, who owes you the money. They love government agencies. Medical is huge on this because when it comes to insurance paying out, I mean, it can take weeks, it could take months for the medical practice itself to see any of those funds. And they got payroll, they got overhead, they have to cover all that. So these are different ways that are utilized to cover payroll, to cover expenses, to cover lease and rents and things like that. There's periods in every business where this could come into play. But the main thing about that is they're looking at who's paying you, not you yourself. Purchase orders for funding. This is a big range of things. So you make a little widget and you put it out into the marketplace. Somebody wants to buy 300,000 of them, but you don't have the money for production. The fact that somebody wants to buy 300,000 units, you can collateralize that up to 95% typically. So once again, there's the fees, 5%, and the interest rate 1 to 4%. No personal business credit scores necessarily needed. Letter of credit is issued initially. So if you need to start the production, things like that, cannot be for unfinished goods. So you got to have some actual product in just continuing production. Something that is a sad situation on this is there is a family friend of ours who the husband was like an engineer and created some little umbilical cord snappy piece sensor. That's what he created, and it was to go on newborns, babies, and it was like an alarms tag. So there would be an alarm if babies were taken out of the hospital with that still activated. It was a way of tracking babies. Didn't have the money to go into production on it, ended up selling off the rights and everything for like 50 grand. Sold it off to a big pharmaceutical company, no royalties or anything, because he didn't have the money to put into production. And of course, things worth billions of dollars. But it was one of those things that if he knew, he'd already had it in production, had already started producing this on a small scale, and there's a huge company that wanted, I don't remember the numbers, I have to get them with my mom, but it was a huge, $1 million deal. And he's like, I don't have money to fund that. They had already basically taken out 2 mortgages just to finish this thing.
Right.
And so but they didn't know that things like that could be collateralized. Just the purchase order could be collateralized.
What you don't know can really financially hurt you.
Huge. Especially, big pharmaceutical companies have some powerful salesmen.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason they're so big. So, not to say that they stole it from them, but,
But they stole it.
They still, yeah. Not that
if he was willing to sell it for 50,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's,
that's
without going for anything else,
inventory. You need a lot of inventory to do inventory funding. We're talking a substantial amount of inventory. Several $100,000, $250,000 to $500,000. You could get a revolving line of credit for that. So this we see a lot. If somebody had a product that maybe went viral, huge, it was like a big boom. They got so much stuff, and now it's not selling, but they need to re-put money back into marketing to move the product. This used to happen a lot more back in the day with publishing companies where they were had just huge inventories of books and supplies. Now there's more of distributions that can take place and small batch orderings of things. Books don't get produced like they used to. It's Amazon, half of the books with Amazon are in some type of royalty, so they just produce 10 or 15 through Amazon's printers at a time. So it's the whole industry has shifted. Kind of grew up in that industry. My parents owned a publishing company, so I was at 14 boxing up books and shipping them out.
Yeah. Print on demand.
Yeah, so now it's a lot different. It was crazy back in the day where it's just, you gotta find a place to store these tens of thousands of books. It's nuts. So inventory is huge. Grocery stores, things like that. There's all sorts of different types of companies that can leverage what they have. Book of business funding. So insurance companies, or insurance agents, I should say, except for State Farm agents, and there's also, so State Farm doesn't qualify for this. Also, they're PHP. You guys heard of like PHP? People helping people.
People helping people.
There's some other multi-level marketing, you know, like Trinot. Trinot's a multi-level marketing company that sells business services. They have an insurance aspect to it. So any type of business like that, you don't actually own the book of business, so you can't actually leverage that.
Like Aflac.
Yeah, so things like that, you know, that are more.
I was thinking of what's her name? They're MLM, but they sell, legal insurance.
Legal Shield.
Oh yeah,
Legal Shield,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you can do that. But this is a huge way that they acquire other businesses. Think about buying an apartment complex. You can use the apartment complex as a guarantee for payment, the rent rolls and things. That's how you can talk about, you know, using something you're buying to show that you can actually pay and service that debt. Number one way that insurance agents acquire other books of business and expand their company is by leveraging the book of business that's already built, using that as guarantee for the payment, so they can fund that.
I bet you this area here will eventually go away because the insurance industry is shifting to online systems
It is.
where nobody owns the book except for the corporate, you know, it's all corporate book now.
It's very true. Everything is shifting. It's one of those things. I bought insurance by just online, calling it in, but then it's like on our business, I love having an agent. I love having an agent for the business because we talk about what is actually taking place and does this and this and this. You know, getting a good quality insurance guy is just like finding a good quality realtor. There's thousands of, there's only 10% out there that you actually should work with, because there's only, or even less, because they are the ones that know what's going on. Most, it's just any licensed professional, let's be honest. Some are just there to make some money and get a check, then there's the true professionals that accelerate in what they're doing. It's the 80-20 rule. Alright. So, I guess that's what, I've learned, because we're just talking about how to get money, and like, of course, where did this all stem from? This has stemmed from Renatus. Renatus taught me actually how to run a business. Like you were talking about earlier. Yeah, this could be totally mismanaged. Velocity banking. If you get yourself into that and then you are not following it, you are worse off than when you started, because now you've dug in a big hole and set your ladder on fire. Everything, but that's the power of, like, it's not just this, it's everything. Like, I did not know what I was doing wrong, and taxes, banking, business, real estate, all educating myself on all those aspects. Because, yeah, just knowing how to do credit is not enough, but knowing all of it, it's the power. Power. So, what else we got? What else can we collateralize? Equipment?
Yep.
So, these are usually some larger ticket items. Like, let's talk about machines like drill presses, CNC machines, things like that, things that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Lots of medical equipment. There's a lot of things out there. Scanners, we're talking CAT scan machines. Like, there's so much equipment out there that is very, very expensive. And if you've at the point where you've actually acquired it, or if you're in the process of purchasing it, so startups can qualify it. Amounts range from $10,000 to $20 million. 12 to 48 month terms. Rates, once again, see 5% to 55% depending on the risk level. Personal score of 580 or higher, 650 preferred, and it's required for leasing for sure. Down payment can be as low as the first and last month's payment, so kind of like taking out a lease on an apartment or something along those lines. Other things that we could collateralize are on the equipment side are, oh, actually this is the sale back. So what we were talking about, if you have like a tractor or something like that, you can kind of do like a lease back, a sale back type deal, and you can get up to 50% of the equipment. So like if you purchase these outright, then you can get, you know, $6,000 in a $12,000 case, and then it'll be. Lots of people can qualify for that. Amounts the same, 10,000 to 20 million, depending on what type of equipment. Similar terms, similar rates, similar personal credit scores. So a lot of these have similar underwriting requirements, but huge ranges on these. This powerful, you know, Uncle John has an old tractor he's not using. Can leverage that for sure. And else we got security. So this is going on to more of like the personal side, leveraging stocks and bonds.
Yep.
What's interesting about this is that you can borrow up to 90% of the stock's value, 5-year loans or credit lines. So the prime rate plus 2%, that's what your payback fees interest rate's going to be. No FICO score requirements. Most stocks and securities are accepted in this realm. Now with this, these become a little bit tricky depending on who holds those funds. That's another thing. So mutual funds don't necessarily work for this. It has to be like I own Apple. I own Amazon shares. I own things like that. Now this is a little bit different than what we would do like for 401ks. 401ks you can leverage, oopsies, we missed 401ks, but I'll talk about 401ks, half up to $50,000 of your 401k, but you can actually also leverage 100% of your 401k through loans of different avenues. The 50% up to 50,000 is from the actual going through your HR department and processing that with your account management company.
Right.
Now there are you can outsource and leverage up to 100% through other avenues. That's something that many people don't know. But the catch-all is building business credit, so no cash flow, no personal credit, no collateral is required. Reports only to business credit reporting agencies. Utilization doesn't affect personal credit score. Well, your utilization of your business credit doesn't affect your personal credit score. Business credit inquiries do not show on your personal credit, so if you're applying without your social, it doesn't show up on your personal credit. Business credit also determines if the business loan will get approved, the amount of the loan and the line you will get, the terms and approvals, including the rates. So basically, the way that we build business credit and why we build business credit that way is it helps reduce all the risk. It really does. You get much better terms and access to a lot more money. So that wraps up our aspect of the 5 C's of funding. So I'm going to give you guys one of these cards. If you guys want one of these cards, because this card, if you scan it, you can actually get a training, a business credit training. So I'll give you guys, you will all get a business credit card today. And you did not even know it. Also, there you go. There you go. There's a credit card. There's a credit card for you.
Yeah.
There's your credit card. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Some cars, but there's no credit. Oh, there's credit.
Now the back is nice. I like these because you can actually
Is this
write
actually
on
the
that.
phone number?
That is our phone number. Yes.
888, yeah. I was gonna say, actually,
That's
there
our
is
phone number.
credit. It has Joseph Smith and Ronaldo Fleming on here, so you do get credit.
That is right. All right. So where are we at right now?
Oh, we're right there with the
I
kids again.
think we're in Tucson,
We're back to the kids.
It is at
but I'm not
3
sure.
o'clock. All right. Does anybody want to see how we structure this into real estate?
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. All right.
We're game.
Oh, something I want to talk about real quick is this business credit book. Because I don't know when we're going to talk about it. So, we're going to talk about it right now. This is our business credit book. Okay. You can find this on Amazon. And let's just talk about, where is it on Amazon? Let's find it. So go to Amazon.
Go to books.
We go to, let's see, what has Joseph been buying? I was gonna order something right now.
Who's the money spender?
Oh, I thought you guys could see this. You didn't know. Oh, let me
No,
share
we're
this
watching-
with
we're
you
looking
guys.
at-
That's
yeah,
not fair
kids.
for me to be looking at his stuff and you
Joseph is outside, he can't hear
not. Hey,
you.
that's okay. Then we can talk about it.
You got his credit card, don't you?
His ears are probably burning and itching.
All right.
He's outside talking on the phone, so maybe that's why he thinks his ears are burning.
Nope. See, that's weird. We're already on duplicate display.
There we are.
See? Alright. There's a calculator.
There's the calculator.
Let's go through all of his personal stuff.
That's what business partners are for, right?
So if you search
Unless-
Amazon for Joseph Smith, you obviously come up
With all types of stuff.
with
Not just
the LDS Church.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not bad.
I was gonna say, come up with all types of stuff.
All right.
Joseph is not a,
Okay. $250. Why on earth do we charge so much? That sounds outrageous for a book.
For the book, yeah, but I'm sure you got something up your sleeve there.
Okay. So what does it say?
They only.
Get approved for $50K or more in business credit without giving a personal guarantee. Heard that before? This is not just another book on building business credit. This book is the definitive step-by-step guide to building real business credit fast. Included in this book are 30 business credit sources with specific underwriting guidelines. Do you need to know who actually reports and when? What are the specific requirements to get approved? Where and how do you apply? Are you looking for starter net 30 vendor accounts, revolving store credit accounts, fleet credit cards, high limit credit cards? Your search is over. With the business credit playbook in your hands, you'll have a winning strategy for your business success. So this is literally our online builder program in a book. That's the thing is we have 30 of those vendor accounts. So we're talking about the address, the website, how do you actually go through? We literally implanted our pages of info into here. And then
Oh, I'm sorry.
no. That's what the aspect of it is because as of now, every single thing in there is current.
Current.
Everything in there is current.
That was
That
my
is,
point.
as of today,
Mhm.
everything is current. In the beginning of next year, we will be revising this if there has been any changes. But this just went into production officially less than 2 months ago.
Mhm.
Less than 2 months ago. Now, there has been a few more accounts that we have found that are reporting. Those are not in here. We did not list every single account in here. We have 30. You need 14. So this is not to completely take away from the online program because that is continuously updated and always being tracked. But this is a great place for somebody to start if they're not sure yet if they need all that. If they don't need the financial advisor team or they think they don't, that's okay. You know, you can do this on your own. You can. I went out there on my own and I tried it. You can do it. It might just take you a little bit longer. I can't guarantee you that if you're out there doing it by yourself, you're going to hit that in 6 to 12 months. But that's the power of this. And what's really cool is, since you guys are here in person today.
I have a slide for it.
Oh, you do? I wasn't quite sure when it was coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'll save it. But we just discussed this, and we talked about it because I wasn't quite sure if we're going to get to it.
Yeah. I put it in there this morning. It wasn't in there when we talked, but then after we talked, I put
And
it in.
this is what you guys came for. As you can tell, we've been preparing for this day for a long time.
Yeah, I've seen that book a couple of times. I'm like, when are they gonna talk about the book?
No. But that's the power of it. It also has all the step-by-steps and a lot of back information on Dun & Bradstreet. More than you ever need. And what's really cool is has been getting some feedback from some people, and it's just like, man, that's everything that we were talking about we did wrong, and that's probably why our business failed. And it's crazy. because I have my grandma's been reading it. So my grandma's been reading it. They've had several businesses over. I mean, she's 93 years old. She's had a substantial amount of businesses over her lifetime, and she's just like, it took me 40 years to learn these things. It's pretty crazy because nobody taught anything like that back in school. Now,
You still don't.
Do you think we can do the 1,000 doors in a half hour?
yeah. Do you want to do it? You want me to do it?
1,000 doors.
Okay.
1,000.
I'll do it. I accept the challenge. I already have it
Try
open.
it one more
Already
time,
have-
I was
it's already
enjoying
open.
it.
Already open.
Give us all the
Sorry, we were looking at all your personal stuff. We were going
Yeah,
through family
man.
pictures.
Yeah,
We thought we'd buy you a book, Joey.
Jeremy just called me out of the blue, and since my son calls me once a year, I usually take that call.
Once a year, whether he needs to or not. Huh?
Well, I had it open. Ray, did you shut my computer down?
Yeah.
It went through this glitch thing. Yeah, PowerPoint shut down. That's why I was like,
He was showing us the book he went for.
it froze. Yeah, it froze, and I just hit puberty.
What?
My voice is cracking. Finally, right
There you go.
Reverse You going back in time? Huey Lewis style?
Benjamin Button, you know.
Benjamin
Yeah,
Button going backwards, huh?
Curious, yeah, curious,
Oh, man.
Curious story of Benjamin Button.
All right. Go ahead.
born as an old man.
That is crazy, though. Man.
All right. So far, what did we cover today? We talked about a little business credit, little business finance, how to get access to, once you have business credit, what you can do with it. We want to show you one of our business models of how we actually implement business credit. So, I mean, this is a presentation that I can give and go 100 different ways. This business model utilizes so many different classes that I've taken. So I can go down so many rabbit holes with this. Sometimes when I can focus on just how we raise the funds, right? But what I wanted to do is kind of spend some time talking to you like about, so I'm not gonna train you on self-directed IRAs, because that's a long rabbit hole to go down. But again, a good one, absolutely. So here's the 1,000 Doors project. Everything in a box is its own business. Okay, anything in some kind of square rectangle. So here's my S corp. Here's my business partner's S corp. Right. So we come together and we form Wise Guys and Ties, a business consulting firm handling business credit and property management. Okay, so prior to working with Ray, I had, I think, successfully completed like 6 or 7 wholesales on my own, and found that, you know, I'd worked hours and hours, like months, and netted $11,000, which felt like with the hours that I put into it was negative pay. And so I was like, you know what, Ray, I want to invest in I want some rental properties. You want some rental properties?
Yes.
Let's do this together. I don't have any money. Do you have any money?
No.
All right. So that's
Place to
how.
start.
So that's where we started. All right. Okay. So we got educated, and we learned that one very powerful way to fund your business is through self-directed IRA money, because you can invest in real estate. It takes money to invest in it, but it doesn't have to be yours. We've been talking about credit. That's somebody else's money. It's the banks. But so each of these letters represents a different person's retirement account. So we would talk to them, and they also were interested in. I mean, let me put it to you this way: who here has a 401k or an IRA? Just show of hands. Okay. Who here knows somebody who has a 401k or an IRA? All right. And then last question: who here knows somebody who knows somebody who has a 401k or an IRA? All right. So with that business model in mind, that's how Ray and I set out to raise all the funds. We talked to all the people we knew, and then we talked to all the people that the people we knew knew. And we had very great conversations that went something along the lines of, we talked about things that weren't our business, like, how you doing? Who'd you vote for in the last election? What religion do you believe? Those kind of questions. Just talking about religion, politics.
Oh, really simple life stuff.
And so once you kind of warm them up there, then you start saying, so tell me about your personal finances. How much money you have in the bank, and what's your credit score like? Just normal questions and conversations that you have with just average everyday people you don't know, right? Right. So that's kind of what Ray and I did, and well, I mean, first of all, I don't recommend getting in arguments about anybody over any of these things, but you definitely can ask people what their opinions are about a number of topics, and people will share with you what their opinions are, and as long as you don't react to them, that's typically where I'm going with this. You got to feel comfortable at some level. If somebody's going to give you, because we've had people give us a lot of money, anywhere from $50,000 to we've got one investor that's wanting to give us $900,000. So, but you've got to be, you can't just be somebody that talks on the surface, like about the weather, sports. No one's going to part with that kind of money or give that to you if you have a very shallow relationship. So getting to know these folks, I've had people ask me, well, how do I get private money? How do I get access? Who are your private money lenders? Tell me. I can tell you, but they're not going to give me any money, right? Well, why not? Because you have to build a relationship. Well, how do you do that? Well, I find that it takes about a year to build a year's worth of relationship. It takes a couple of years to build a 2-year long relationship, and so on and so forth.
Concept.
And so during that time, you get to know people, and you get to know what they believe and the things and all the things that they like. But if you're committed and dedicated to providing them as much value as you can to other people in their lives, that in many ways will come back to bless you. So Ray and I, as we get to know these folks, very important step is we've spent time building a relationship. We get to know them, and then we invite them to our second office. So this is our primary office, but then we have a secondary office called Chick-fil-A. And so
No, I got it. Feel it.
it is.
And all this time I thought
like that office.
it was Starbucks.
No, but I
That's
find
the satellite office.
Oh, it's that
we have brought investors here to the office, and that has been such a harder close when they're here in our office, because it's for some reason a little more adversarial. Us sitting on this side, and the intimidation factor of, look, you guys have pictures, you have awards over there, it's so intimidating. And so, but when we go to Chick-fil-A, we're just a couple of regular people, and
You're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Just regular people.
Not after their money.
right, it's just more a relaxing, disarming environment. But then we just say, so what are you making in your return? What's the return rate you're getting on your 401k right now, or your IRA? What do you think we hear from them?
2,
Not much.
3, 4%, or maybe not very
Maybe
much.
6.
It depends on the person. Sometimes we talk to people that are, very savvy. They've been tracking it. They kind of follow. They try to move from the different risk scales and stuff like that. But we would hear anything from, I don't know, I don't even want to know, to maybe somewhere around 6%. I think we have one person making 8%. And but I mean, again, it just depends on when you got in, right? So here's the conversation we have. So whatever the answer is, because it's typically within that range, I said, well, would you be interested in having a conversation with me about if I could show you a way to double or even possibly triple what you're making right now as a rate of return in your retirement account, backed by real estate? Would you be interested in that, having a conversation with me about that? What do you think I hear as a response?
Let's talk about that.
Really?
Someone's like, double or triple, are you serious?
Mhm.
It's like, totally. I was like, okay, how do you do that? And then we might show them one of our, not this model here, because this is a buy and hold model, but on the fix and flip side, we'll show them how their money could come in and how we do a project and it gets done in about 3 or 4 months, and they can make 5% return on that one deal. And they're like, that's not double or triple. Yeah, but that's just the first 4 months. Now, we do that again and again, and you're making 5% each time. How much rate of return have they made for the year? 15%.
Or actually higher.
Or higher.
Yeah.
But in the business model that I was showing and what we're paying our investors, does an annualized 15% return or better look good to an investor?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And so, well, how are they protected? Well, you're going to have an equity position in the property. So if I die, God forbid, but if something happens to me and I'm gone or anything, you can always foreclose and get paid back. Now, someone's like, well, how do I make sure that I get my money? Well, you got a couple options. You can take over the deal yourself, hire somebody else to do it, or just cash out. And so we spell out all the options, all the risk, and real estate investing is risky, but if you get educated and you know what you're doing, you can mitigate much of that risk. So, we show people the business models. Now, in this scenario, very similar conversation, but we're talking to people about, most of these people that you see here, okay, so there's 2 different types of investors. Those who want to be in for a short period of time and make a big bang for their buck, right? That represents maybe about 90% of the lenders that are out there. But then you have another group of people that are like, you know what? I actually just need to, because I got started late on retirement, I need a passive income stream coming in, and I need it to be this much. I can't have it exceed this much, or whatever. Everybody's got different criteria. So, okay, so you don't necessarily need a big windfall. You want a steady stream coming in. So these are the type of investors. Now, we're not just always looking for one type of investor. We want all investors. But as I start processing people's interests and where they're at in their life and what their goals are, so these were the people that fit in the category of we need some kind of annuity. We want to create our own annuity. We want some kind of money that just comes in, mailbox money that we're not thinking about anymore. Okay, so here's what we propose. Let's form a business called the 1,000 Doors Project. Now, what do you think is the end goal of the 1,000 Doors Project?
1,000 dollars.
You guys,
What a concept.
you stole my
That
thunder.
was so
To own it.
transparent.
To own 1,000 doors free and clear, paying $1,000 a month in rent per door would be $1 million a month gross coming in. Now, net,
A little less.
be less. Right? But after we do our taxes, it'll all flow to the bottom line.
Yeah.
So then I'll say, so it's still, we're just trying to make $1 million a month. And everybody, depending on what percentage you come in at, gets your little piece of the $1 million a month. So you guys see how, for somebody who's in that mindset, oh, this seems kind of interesting. I think I'm game. Tell me more. I said, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come in, Wise Guys and Ties. We'll take part of the company, and then you guys come in on the other part. In fact, we'll form a partnership LLC where Wise Guys and Ties owns 50% and will provide all of the services. And when I say all of the services, I mean acquisition of properties, contract negotiations, working with all of the different professionals along the way, insurance, the works, doing taxes, CPA, everything. We'll manage the entire company, right? You will come in as the 50% ownership of the money partners. What is it that you get as a money partner? You're entitled to 50% of all the monthly income coming in, and you have voting rights on every project that we do. So we're only going to move on a project that has majority support. Majority was defined as 75%. As we put our operating agreement, 75% of the investors have to agree to move forward on a project. Alright? So, everyone's like, okay, so people are feeling good. I've got a little bit of control here. If they're all of a sudden gonna start investing in, you know, a beachfront property in Arizona, I can put the brakes on it and say, no, I don't want us to get in on that, right? So, but day-to-day operations, managing the project, that's left to us. So they're not gonna get, once they've approved a project, then Ray and I, we're in charge, we'll run the project, right? And there's voting rights, people can vote every year, if they wanna cash out, they can. If they ever get to the point, we can even Ray and I can be voted out of the company. If that ever is the case, they have to buy us out, but they can, if they choose to do so.
So who has the tiebreaker between the money and the service?
It's a great question. The tiebreaker was actually in the operating agreement,
Okay.
set as a third-party arbitration
Okay,
of our attorney.
Okay.
So, but that's a good question. What I find is we have never split 50-50 down the line on anything. Because honestly, what I find is that most of all of these investors, they're all kind of lockstep. All of these investors, it turned out, kind of all go to the same church. So it just worked out that way. So, you know, I'm not saying that that's a business model, but you might want to look into going around to various churches.
You bought this church.
I did not go to their church. It just turned out that, oh hey, this guy, and I found this guy, and I found this guy, and then Ray found this guy, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we know this other person, so they brought in a couple other people, and then we're like, well, how do you guys know each other? Oh, we all go to the same church. Interesting. Okay.
So,
It wasn't by design, it was by accident.
Yeah, but it's fine with it.
By
so
divine.
is it based upon their voting rights is based
I
upon
agree
their
with that
percentage?
statement.
Or is there just
Yes.
by, okay,
So how much money, you pay for how much vote you want in the company. That's pretty much.
Actually, that specific thing made one guy throw like another $100,000 in because he's like, how much do I need to like control the vote?
Yeah, this guy was like, he was down here at first, down by P, right? And he was like, wait a minute, I'm only gonna have like 16% of the vote. And so he starts doing the math. Okay, I wanna put in another 120. and now I have the majority vote. And then we're like, anybody else, you know, I have 120. Do we have 150? 150 over here.
He gonna control your life if you don't come up.
Okay, so first of all, here's another critical thing that I've learned, and it's been coalescing. I actually just came into this realization like this week, but a lot of times we raise funds for projects that we haven't yet done. I mean, that's what we really try to do. But at the same time, while we try to do that in theory, in practice, people don't really want to lend to something that they can't imagine or see. So even when we have a fix and flip company that isn't doing a project, what is it that we sell them when they're investing in us? We're showing them a list, and here's all the 20 properties that we've done over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking through the numbers, and so they're making decision off of something tangible that they can see. So, because I had a little bit of a slowdown in raising funds, because when I put this together, here's what happened. We set a goal for 400,000, but I already had under contract, not that I had it funded, but I had a duplex and triplex, so I could show people numbers and performance and all these different things. And so to purchase these properties, as you can see, is less than 400,000, but there was money needed to form the company and money needed to do a little bit of rehab on them. So this money was raised in 30 days, right? So this money was raised from relationships that I had spent, you know, probably, you know, Ray and I both had spent years building, but when it came time for people to pull the trigger, it's because we already had a deal in place. So to own a duplex and a triplex, free and clear, we needed to raise $400,000 to do the whole business model. Now, incorporated in the business model is business credit. We'll come back to that. How long does it take to get $50,000 in lines of credit?
About 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm. Now we also need to put in umbrella insurance, life insurance. Everything in red costs money, everything in green brings money in. Why would life insurance be both red and green?
If something happens with you guys, you got funds to repay the company.
Right, so
If we keep personnel.
we overfund it in the beginning of the company, and then later on we can borrow against it.
Right.
So that's why it's gonna be an expense for probably the first 5 to 10 years.
Right,
But then later on, it'll be an asset to us.
yes.
So, okay, so, again, so when we go and purchase a duplex and a triplex, we're not just putting them in this company, no. This company is gonna own 2 other companies. So we have to set up business credit on each of those. Liability insurance, the renter's gonna have renter's insurance, right? So it's a full, complete model. One of the expenses that you don't see built in here is principal and interest. Why?
Because you own them outright.
Because I own them outright.
What about your taxes?
We just paid those, by the way. That was due November 1st.
After a grueling 6
Property
months.
taxes you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
After a grueling 3 months.
They were due you yesterday.
yeah, it's all paid.
Well, actually, technically, I guess they're due a month ago, but they're
Oh.
late now if they weren't paid yesterday.
I paid them a week ago.
Tax and maintenance, okay.
All right. So everything left over after all expenses have been paid is called what?
Cash flow.
Cash flow. So these numbers came off of what the current, because these came with tenants already in them.
Right.
So it's like, great, so we could already show numbers to our investors.
Right.
And what would that split look like on a monthly basis? Well, there it would be, right? Cash flow split, or the profit. No, that's, when you start dividing that amongst all these investors, it's little teeny bits, but again, if this was all we were going to do, but this is 5 doors out of 1,000 that we're gonna build.
But the top J gets the bigger part of that cut too, cause he's more invested.
Uh-huh. Yep. And when Ray's out of town, you know, for the month or something, then I get the full 14.
That's why he was looking on your Amazon account to see what you bought recently.
So like reserves, are those, obviously those are kept, well, someplace, I would think that those were kept in the 1,000-door project, right?
Reserves, that's a good question. Look at business credit here. Business credit replaces the need for a reserve.
Okay, so using that as your reserves, okay.
So, because if you get a rental property, you do need to have reserves. Rent comes in and then it's like, but do I really, is it really mine? No, I've gotta, it's like this look but don't touch. You're like, oh. It's like, I see money there, but I can't do anything with it. Well, business credit, it's so wonderful because it performs so many functions. Business credit here, in all of these circumstances, is a hedge, it is a protection. Now, $50,000 doesn't guarantee the 400,000, but I don't have to with the business credit guarantee the 400,000 because we own 2 properties free and clear.
Right.
Now, this property was valued at 200, or no, this is the triplex.
Right.
At the time, the comps showed this to be worth about 300, and this was worth 200. So we have equity built in.
Right.
So there was plenty to cover. So the business credit was just even that much extra over the top. So this was the model. This is what's actually currently in place. This is what we're currently experiencing. We've had a couple of minor setbacks. The triplex we had to, yeah, but I mean, here's what's cool. So we had to do an eviction, and then after the eviction there was a flood, and then, but we have the right insurance on the property,
Right.
so we never really lost any rent, because our insurance had a rider for lost rent. So, I mean, we've just been cash flowing this thing all year, even though it's needed over $100,000 of work done on it for maintenance and repairs. But you know what's great is we didn't even lose our insurance carrier because it turned out that the manufacturer of the faucet, there was a defect, so they're going after them. So it's not really, because you know, like sometimes when you file a big claim, bye-bye, see you later. But no, we didn't lose our insurance carrier because this really wasn't our fault, which is great. But how do we grow this business? We can spend a ton of time talking about it, and there's so many different strategies. There's no right answer. But so if we want to find a 12-unit apartment complex in Tucson, right? 1.2 million. You know, it depends on where you go, where you're looking. We look at a lot of different places. But if we wanted to utilize some of the strategies that you saw, especially the collateral, non-recourse collateral loan, hard money, different types of money that's out there, we could do that. Let's say we're negotiating with the seller to put 25% down, all right? So where can we get 250,000? Well, let's get non-recourse collateral loans off of the duplex and the triplex. Non-recourse because I'm dealing with self-directed IRA money here. I can't put any of them personally liable, right? Because that would be a prohibited transaction. So non-recourse means that we're only going to collateralize the duplex and the triplex. Typically up to 50% is all you can get off of that value. But if you don't pay it, they're going to come and take your they're going to come take your property, and they're going to have 50% equity in your property when they take it from you. So we're incentivized to make sure we pay that, of course. Now that doesn't help us buy the whole thing, but it does get us access to a non-recourse commercial loan or a type of commercial hard money type of loan. And so to purchase this property, we've got to come up with another $750,000. Again, this is not the only way to do it. There are so many different ways to purchase real estate, a lot of creative strategies. But Ray showed you the book of business, right? It's a great strategy where we could purchase, even though we're not insurance, we're not talking about that, but the same strategy could work here. We could collateralize the actual building that we're purchasing, right? If we're setting up something, a private seller finance note, we can collateralize what's being sold, and the person who's selling it, that we're selling it to. Okay, so the way does that work? So the person walks away with their money. The person who lends us the money now walks into a position where if we don't pay them, they get the building. You know, it's sort of like kind of like a reverse mortgage almost, where like I'm gonna make you owner of my property now, and if I don't pay you, then it's yours. But I mean, what is I mean, you can say reverse mortgage. It sounds complicated, but all it is a loan. Give them the loan, lean against the property. But we would never do this if the numbers don't work, right? Because in real estate, we don't buy properties, right? We buy numbers, right? I had a friend tell me that numbers are so important that it's a book in the Bible.
It's true. Yeah, okay.
So we put business credit on there. We have also the insurance on there. Now we're going to do velocity banking. What's velocity banking? Well, come on.
Well, you're going to reduce.
Velocity banking uses business lines of credit and cash flow from the property to transfer the amortized interest into simple interest, which has the effect of aggressively paying down the principal in 1/3 of the time.
Or less.
Or less, yeah, because we don't know where we're starting at on this, right? So here's what happens. So we have taxes, maintenance, right, and the loan repayment. So the cash flow coming off of this has to, at the minimum, make sure that there's enough coming in to pay the monthly finances and all that, right? Now, at any point, did we lose our cash flow off of the duplex and triplex?
No.
No, in fact, in this business model, we never are going to go back and ask for more money, and when we start paying you money, we're never going to take away money that we start paying you, which is another really cool thing. Because even though I'm not giving you that much money, as soon as you start putting money into your investor's pocket, even if it's just a little bit, how likely are they to walk away from you? It's a little bit harder. They still can. I'm not saying they won't, but right, an investor that's not making anything will walk away from you, right? Somebody, even if you're just putting every month $50 in their pocket, at least you're giving them something, right? Okay. So that being said, here,
Especially if it's cash and not paper value.
right, right,
It's hard to walk away from cash
that's right.
than paper value.
So, by using velocity banking, where will the money come from for velocity banking? If all of this money is just servicing the debt, where's the other cash going to come from?
From you guys.
Right. So, if we choose to, depending on the numbers, we could take this money that we had here and pay that down. Now, we're not paying ourselves any money, but that would be something that the company would vote on. Do they want to do that? Or do we just work it in the numbers that there is, even after paying all this, there's still excess from the rent coming in here that goes to paying down the debt? I mean, again, there are so many different permutations on how to write this up. But here's what happens. Monthly cash flow after all loan repayments. So this model was originally drafted to have the principal paid back in 10 years. But then our investors came back and said, we want paid back in 5. And I said, okay, no problem. Now, mathematically, seems like there's a problem. Because if you look at this model, and if we draw it out, and then, okay, so what you have here is we own this property at about year 5 or year 6, right? It's either free and clear, or it's paid down 75%, somewhere in there. Well, we're still not at 1,000 doors, and I don't have the ability to pay my investors back. Well, I do, perhaps. At the five-year mark, where are we at on the life insurance?
In the cash value?
Right. Where are we at in the cash value? Where are we at with business credit? Right? What's the business credit on all these? What's the value currently of the duplex and the triplex? There's plenty of ways, but here is the most exciting way that I would pay them back. Now, there's no such thing as shortcuts in business credit. Would you agree with that?
True.
Right.
That being said, okay, JC, what if I were to sell you Triplex LLC? It's been around for 5 years. It's got, let's say, $350,000 in available lines of credit, completely open. It has no debt. It has a bank record for the last 5 years and all this cash flow. Now, I'm going to sell you Triplex LLC, but it won't have a triplex in it because I'll move that to a new business. What would somebody pay for a business with an active track record of 5 years and available lines of credit from the day you take it over at $350,000?
You might pay $500,000.
Whatever you can negotiate. Now, when they take it over, the bank's going to realize that the track record, there's new ownership and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's fine, but it doesn't hurt you that it has a good track record.
Right.
Right? That it's not a negative against you. It might not be as much of a positive, but here's what's going to be great. Every credit card, every line of credit is now yours. Having access to $350,000 in lines of credit is at
Can you go out
least
and buy another triplex with that cash flow, with that business line?
sure. So in my opinion, this is just my opinion, it's worth at least $350,000. If you're going to have access to $350,000, it's worth at least $350,000. Now you could pay me up front $350,000, or we could put an agreement together where you buy me out over time. You put a down payment down, and every year, the profits made from this company, a certain percentage goes to me as payment for the company. We could put a note together. There's a lot of different ways. I could sell both Duplex LLC and Triplex LLC, right? I could pull, because I had hybrid accounts, I could pull cash out of those. Now these are leveraged. Now there's a big payment. So this cash flow would go down.
Sell it with the property, that'd be even more.
So all I'm saying is there are so many different options. this business model, there are so many ways to access money. At the 5-year mark, here's what's gonna happen though. Here's what my bet is. People are gonna say, well, it's time for us to get paid back our initial capital. And we'll show them all the options. And each option, they'll be like, you mean we're gonna give away this company that has all that track record and 350,000? I don't know if they wanna do that.
Right.
Because this company would be on the verge of maybe getting a $20 million SBA loan, you know? Because it's like, but hey, if you want, you know, each person came in like at $50,000 or somewhere around there, 50, 60,000. If you want to give up $20 million for your 60, we'll do it. My bet is with the money that's coming in and the money that's going to be coming in from this project, these all three projects coming in, they're going to be like, you know what, let's go back to that original model you said where we get paid back all our capital in 10 years. I'm going to be like, sure. But I'm prepared either way, right? Because the life insurance policy by this time, there will be, I believe, how we fund it, should be able to get around 50 out of there. We could pull 50, you know,
Well,
50, 50, right?
actually,
And we could pull 50, right? There's a number of ways we could do it. If we decide to sell off duplex, triplex, what's going on, you know, what'll be going on in the market at that time, 5 years from now, will really dictate what we do. And it might happen that the economy's taking a huge downturn where we'll be like, you know what, instead of selling everything, why don't we just buy a whole bunch of stuff while it's on sale?
you know, you're talking about like duplex LLC, triplex LLC, also the 1,000-door project, which also have, you know, $350,000 worth of line of credit, along with the business, along with the commercial LLC. You'd have 1.4 million. You could go out and just buy, using lines of credit, another, you know, at that point maybe a 18-unit complex or something.
I agree with you. See, here's the thing, when you own properties free and clear, and you have leveraged properties the right way that are cash flowing,
Sure.
then, and you have business credit, and you have a whole life insurance policy ensuring the managers of the company that if anything happens to Ray or me, that our death brings about the financial benefit of the investors. I mean, we've just put so many different strategies. Some of you might recognize some of these classes that we've taken, right? So there's layer upon layer of protection. So people who have invested with Ray and I, do you see how we've done everything possibly that we could to protect them in their investment? And so people appreciate that. And in fact, most people, when they look at that, they're like, I've never seen that before. And that's because when we set it up with Kohler, Mark KKOS, they said we'd never put one of these together before, which is why they charged us so much money. Because so we're a bit of a hybrid, you know, but our business model, we've gone around. Ray and I have traveled Hawaii, California, Colorado, Idaho, Utah. We've been all over the West out here, and a lot of people are excited about that business model. A lot of people are looking into variations on the theme. But here's the thing: what happens to a lot of people is they just take one strategy. Oh, I'm going to raise some self-directed IRA money and then go use that. That's fine. Some people are like, well, I'm going to use some life insurance policies, overfund them, and then borrow against those policies. Because what happens if I don't pay that back?
Not.
Then they deduct it from my death benefit. So, whatever.
You're not going to be around to care.
Right. So, I mean, people use a lot of these different strategies independently. What happens if you take a whole bunch of strategies, which in this case, there are about 7 different financial strategies, and you weave them together into one cohesive business model? I mean, if you take velocity banking and you combine it with business credit, you're going to get some amazing results.
Yeah.
You're going to take wealth creation through whole life insurance policies, combine that with non-recourse collateral loans, and come up with the money you need to finance $1 million projects. So, there's just so many things. So, wait a minute, I think I went back too far, you already covered this stuff.
Click forward. Yeah.
There we go. All right, it's time to find out what you learned today. All right, because what is all of this worth if you leave here and you didn't learn anything? Okay, so these are the answers from earlier. What is a perfect business credit score?
80 to 100.
What?
80 to
100.
100 is perfect, right? 100 paydex score, or all the models. The IntelliScore with Experian is still on a 100 scale. They're all slightly different. They all take something into account, but typically somewhere between, like on IntelliScore, 90 to 100 is considered an excellent rating. On the paydex score, it's 80 to 100, but still, it's not difficult to achieve 100, because 100 means what?
Everything, yeah.
You're paying your bills early.
Yeah.
All right. So who are the reporting agencies, the main ones for business credit? Dun & Bradstreet?
And Dun & Bradstreet.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Hey, you did a good job. All right. So what affects your business credit score? What causes it to go up? What causes it to go down?
Payment
History.
What else?
Payment history.
history.
That's right.
And also payment history.
So,
Yeah, payment history.
to be early is to be on time.
Right.
Right.
To be on time is to be late. And to be late is
It's
fatal for your business credit, right?
It's time to birth a new child.
That's right. So, how long does it take to go from wherever your credit score is today to an 850? If you're utilizing Wise Guys and Ties partnership with Credit Suite, how long does it take you to build business credit?
6 to 12 months.
12 months.
Boom. Right? How cool is that? I mean, that's a hockey season. Come on. All right. So, how can we guarantee to get you $50,000 in lines of credit for your business? Well, when you enroll in business credit, you get 24/7 access to your own business finance suite. Success, you can do it in English or Spanish. Both, not just on the website, but also our advisor line. So our financial advisor team speak both English and Spanish. Yes. So our business advisors coach you through the process. We help you set up your business. So Keith, if you haven't set up your business, having assistance all the way from the beginning, doing it right? For the rest of you that all screwed it up, sorry. Sucks to be you. No, I'm kidding. No, we help all of you. We help all of you, right? Help with the address, toll-free phone setup. Help. Oh no.
Actually,
That's
I can see
good.
that way.
That-
better? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
think
God worked it all
Yeah, I
out.
know, right?
It was totally how it was supposed to be. So setting up fax and 411 listing, website, email address, because we do, while it's not required to have a website, it helps you out so much. But when you set up a website, there are mistakes you can make, right?
Right.
You could do things wrong. Here's a big thing that I found out. Hey, not having terms and conditions on your website, right? Now you're not lendable because you did a small little thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that you have every component needed to set up a successful website and do it the right way. Licensing an online list and compliancy check. So here's the great thing. The LexisNexis, Dun & Bradstreet, they're basically looking and cross-checking what information's out there on you. So we just go ahead and find out what is it that they know, right? We have backdoor access to LexisNexis. We have backdoor access to Dun & Bradstreet. So we can see through RSS feeds into our website what information is actually being reported on you. So if we know what they're looking for, so hey, here's what's great. If I'm gonna have to answer identity verification checks to prove I am who I say I am, I wanna know what you have on your side that you're checking against me. Is that cool? That's built into this system as well. Help with setting up bank merchant accounts, because you do need a merchant account. I mean, even if you don't currently process payments, you should set up a merchant account. For the sole fact of when you have cash flow coming in and you can get a merchant cash advance, just to get a merchant cash advance, it's so cool.
Just because you can, huh?
Yeah. Right? I mean, why turn down free money? Oh, it's not free. But why turn down other people's money, right? getting your business credit set up with Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax, there's a right way, and then there's an expensive way to do it, right? We'll help you do it the right way. Get your DUNS number set up, your BIN set up with Experian, dispute and fix. Oh, hey, did you know that you can have inaccuracies on your business credit? Did you know that's possible?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
So, did you know that there are laws in place that if somebody is reporting something inaccurately on your personal credit, you can go through a process to get that fixed, and they have to fix that? Did you know that there is no law in place that requires them to report accurately on your business credit?
That's correct.
Somebody's doing a poor job of lobbying then.
So, since there is no law, and I can't compel you, I can't speak nasty to you on the phone and you're somehow motivated to help me, I have to know the process, and there is a process, of how to how to appropriately go through the process and make sure that I get everything reported accurately with me. And so, we go ahead and we take you through that process. The largest supply of starter vendors, I mean, I don't know of anybody else that is listing out all of the different sources that you need just to get started. People that'll just extend to you $500, $1,000, $1,500 in a starter line, and you're just starting out. What do you have? An EIN number? I mean, come on, this is good stuff. So how do you get a massive selection of retail, fleet credit, no personal guarantees, hard to find cash credit financing, cash flow financing, unsecured financing at 0%, asset-based financing, SBA loan, term loans. See, remember, we have both the business credit side and the direct funding side. Our goal is to get you up to an excellent business credit rating, then we pass you over to the direct funding side, and then the world is your oyster, right? So, of course, we put a value to all of those, but I mean, does it really cost that much? No, that's not what we charge. So what does the Wise Guys and Ties charge? Well, you should know that these services, this business credit suite, if you go through business credit, Megan Christensen's company, Credit Suite, it costs $6,000 if you finance, and $3,000 if you pay it all up front in a one-time payment, you get half off. So we offer it for about $5,000, and we offer a one-time cash discount, so you can get it, hey, cheaper than you would get it for Credit Suite. Now, we are partnered with them. This is, if you go to their website, you'll notice, oh hey, they're offering all the same things that we offer because we're in partnership. We're offering the exact same process. We are white labeled. We completely offer all the exact same services that Credit Suite offers, right? And I told you, that's their prices, right? So save yourself $500 when you go with us. Oh hey, remember we were talking about that book? I don't know everything that Ray said, but here's the difference. You can go out, there's literally, I found so far, somewhere around 80 different books on Amazon on how to build business credit. Why would anybody want to buy our book, right? Ty Crandall has been a part of at least half of those books, right, that are out there. Ty Crandall did help us with this book. He edited, he's contributed a couple of chapters in our book. But the thing that sets this book apart from all the other books is they just tell you the process, and they leave you still at the same spot you are. So, I mean, has anybody taken the Renata's class on business credit? That's basically the same stuff that's in every book that's out there, but you're still at the end of the class, you're like, I need a starter vendor. I need to know who do I go to for the retail credit? Who are the fuel cards? I have no underwriting guidelines. But, I mean, those classes and those books tell you how to go and find out. You're just gonna call and you're gonna talk and you're gonna research, and you got a lot of legwork to do. So, where our book has all the same information, all the same steps, because there's really only one way to build business credit, so they're all gonna give you very similar information. But we went the extra mile. We said, you know what, we'll give you the underwriting guidelines for 30 different credit issuers, and we'll break it to you in the 4 rounds. So we give you 15 starter vendors and all the underwriting guidelines. Now, this information is as current as, what was it, August 30th? Like, this is
Really,
only
2
a
months,
little
yeah.
over, this is like 6 weeks old. So this is still really fresh information. So we intend to have an updated version, at least chapters 6 and 7 are where all this information is. We will update chapters 6 and 7 every year to make sure that it stays current. But this is what's important. So, I mean, if you're looking for net 30 vendor accounts, revolving store credit, fleet credit cards, the actual names of the cards, how to apply, like when Ray showed you all that profile, like on Uline and some of those different accounts, what if all that was contained in a book? You could just turn page after page and you just had all that written down for you. Would that be something pretty valuable to have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what's in this book. Now, our program has double that, right? So while our book has 30, our program has 60, right? So if you're in our program, you have access to double what the book has. But all you need is how many of these reporting positively? 14 in a 6-month period of time. And you'll have an excellent business credit rating. Oh, also 2 of them at least have to have a limit of how much or more? 10,000 or more. Okay. Not difficult to do, especially if you pick Dell as one of them. All right? So, what does that cost? Our book, as you saw, is $250. Today, before you leave, if you want that book, well, it's not up there? I thought I put it up there. Ray, I thought I put it up there. It's $197. $197 today if you want the book. $197. And here's something cool about this. Something Ray and I also talked about. There are a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there, and if you combine what you've taken in a business credit course with the information that's in this book, you really have all you need. There is nothing more that you need. It's all there for you. And you could build your business credit. You could literally do it, and you could do it in 6 to 12 months, right? But you have to do it all on your own. There is no coaching. There is no financial advisory team, right? There's no loan officers helping you fill out applications, right? That's what our program does, right? There's no web-based platform helping you keep track of everything. You would need to create your own spreadsheets and track everything on your own. But if you're a do-it-yourselfer, this will work for you, right? Now, for those people who purchase the book and then feel like I'm overwhelmed, I did not want to create a full-time job of building business credit, right? I need help. We will credit you even though you buy it today for $197, we'll credit you a full $250 towards the purchase of the program. All right? So you never feel like you wasted money. All right? But I want you to know that I feel supremely confident that if I had taken that Renatus class business credit and had this book, or if I just had this book, right, just the book alone, I could build business credit on my own. There's nothing more that I need. Everything is there that I need. That was the purpose of putting this book together, because I have plenty of people who love Renatus, but they don't love the price tag of the education. And I have plenty of people who love our services, but they don't like the price tag of our services. That's fine. There's a price point for everybody, for everything. So this reads a lot like a textbook, because it is a playbook, giving you the step-by-step instructions. Just, follow the doctor's advice, right? Read 2 chapters every night and call me in the morning. Just kidding.
Or in your case, don't call me.
Don't call me, yeah. All right. So guys, I'm going to get you out of here, so I'm going to close with the greatest football game that was ever told, right? We're bookending the presentation. We started with the greatest football game that was ever played, but when we left, it was just all tie, right? We have to go into overtime. How many of you feel like sometimes when it comes to business or business finance that you're facing sudden death? Your business is like, I don't know. Or maybe you've talked to some folks who are like, look, if we don't get this deal done, if we don't find a way to pay these bills, we're going out of business. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, sudden death, overtime. What happens in there? Both teams each get a chance to score, right? They start on the 25-yard line going in, and they've got their 4 tries, right, to get in and score. And then one team goes first and the other team goes second. Now, here's what happened. Boise State won the toss. because they do a coin toss and see who goes first. Boise State won. They said, you know what? We'll let Oklahoma decide what they want to do. They said, we'll go first. All right. So Oklahoma, they go ahead. They go first. And so when you have Adrian Peterson in your backfield, right? Anybody ever? I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Fame running back.
Yeah.
But okay, if you have somebody in your team and on your business that every time you give them a chance, they close the deal. Like, I've got some marketers, I've got some salespeople on my team that they're just machines. They close deals, real estate deals. They sell the Renatus education. I've just got people that what a blessing for me to have workhorses like that, right?
Right.
So if I have a deal that needs to be done, right? Just like in football, I'm going to take the ball. I'm going to go give it to my star player, right? Like, I'm not even a star player. I think of myself as a star player, but really I'm only a star in my own home. My boys think I'm a star. But I know in business that if I need the deal closed, I'm going to hand it off to my star player. So if I'm Oklahoma, what am I going to do? I'm going to give the rock, or the ball, as it's called, to Adrian Peterson. So first play of the game, takes the ball, scampers down the field, scores a touchdown. Right off the bat. Oh, that's 6 points. Then they decide to kick the extra point, so they're up by how much now?
7.
They're up by 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now it's Boise State's turn. Well, you're Boise State. Well, if Adrian Peterson can do it, then our running back can do it. They take the ball, hand it off, and we didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that didn't work. Okay, yeah, we're going against the #1 defense in the nation. Okay, so I don't know that maybe Miami was the #1 defense that year, but it's still a pretty high ranked defense.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll take another play. It was a bootleg and a pass. Wide open receiver drops the ball. Have you ever just had it? It was right there. You could have grabbed it, and you just messed it up. You were supposed to show up for the appointment, and you weren't there. You showed up late. You showed up on time, which meant you were late. It happens. So now it's third down. When it's third down, what does the defense do if they know that you need to go a long way?
Blitz.
They're going to blitz. What does that mean? That means they're sending everybody at you. Everybody. So the quarterback takes the ball, and he's literally surrounded, right, by defenders. Like, the whole offensive line just melted.
Mm-hmm. And
And now he's just like, run. You ever feel like you're surrounded by your creditors? Everywhere. Somebody wants a piece of you. And you're like, there's not enough for me to go around. You just throw the ball away and do your best. So now you're fourth down. Oh, we were just here, weren't we? Like the way the game went, just like 5 minutes ago, it was like fourth down and we got a score now. All right, so Boise State takes the ball, tosses it back to the right. So the running back gets the ball. So when a running back gets the ball, what's he do? Running back. He runs. But this running back picks the ball up and then throws it to a tight end in the end zone that nobody saw. Touchdown, Boise State. That's 6 points. Now the coach Peterson's got a decision to make. He could play it safe, kick the extra point, and go into double overtime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or he could go for the 2-point conversion.
Go for the win.
He could go for the win. He could play for the win. But it's an all or nothing, right? Because if you don't score, you lose.
Yeah.
Right? But that's pretty risky, don't you think? Wouldn't it be better to just play it safe? Try and win again?
Depends.
It depends. Yeah,
That's the plan.
that's the safe answer for today, for sure. But, think about it. Aren't we inspired by people who played it safe? Think about all those great biographies written by those who played it safe.
Sure, yeah.
I've shared that with you before, right?
Awesome.
Yeah? Can you name who's a favorite moderate of yours that inspired you to greatness?
Oh, I don't know.
Bob
I know that guy.
Bob Wimpington?
Bob Ross.
Oh, wow.
Are we not inspired by people who risked it all, who dared everything, put everything on the line? People who we're told the earth was flat, but they decided to see and test it and see if the world would prove that it was round, that there was a way to get over to India. Even though it wasn't India, it was actually the West Indies. No, but I mean, what about back when we flew single prop airplanes and for no more than a few hundred miles, but a guy named Charles Lindbergh said, you know what, I think we could fly all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. Now, back then, if something went wrong, is there anybody to radio for help?
No.
And when you're flying across the North Atlantic, what's your survival rate if you land in the water? 12 minutes or 12 seconds?
12
I don't
minutes.
know how long it is. So, flying a single prop airplane, right? I mean, with a space no bigger than the old VW Bug, right? It's a very small space, right? Flew that from New York to Paris. Is that not inspiring? What about Chuck Yeager, who said, you know what? We got this new airplane and we put a rocket in the back. Now normally we use rockets and they go and they fire on things and explode. But we put one in the back of this airplane. Why don't you fly it and see how fast you can go? Yeah, I'm up for that. I mean, even though some of these other airplanes they put together did just that, explode. He's a test pilot, says, I'll take it. Takes her out for a spin, breaks the sound barrier for the first time. Are we not inspired by things like that? How about a president of the United States who said, back in 1961, it should be the goal of this nation to send a man to the moon and return him safely before this decade is out. Now keep in mind, at that point, Alan Shepard had been in space for 5 minutes, right? Right? We had not the technology. We didn't have the computer technology. We didn't have the metallurgy. We didn't have the alloys. We didn't have the rocket science, the power needed to get to the moon. But here's the President of the United States saying, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're trying to be first.
And that was 1961. So what happened on July 20th, 1969?
Landed first man on the moon.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Let me ask you something. In that space race, were there people who died?
Oh yeah.
Apollo 1. The whole crew died, right?
Burned up.
Were there not many test engineers on platforms where Redstone rockets exploded and we just lost an engineering crew just like that? Yeah, it's dangerous business. I mean, how many test pilots died in rocket propelled aircraft before Yuri Gagarin broke the sound barrier, right? My point is, those are all risky things, but they inspire us. We read those stories, and they're so cool. I love reading that stuff. I can't get enough of it. If I ever see some, Neil Armstrong movie or documentary, I'm just like, I gotta watch this. I've seen the moon landing 100 times, but I'm always enthralled by it. It inspires us. They're such pioneers. But moderates, people who play it safe, not one of them has ever inspired me. I mean, if you think about it, there's nobody can name me one person who said, you know what, that's right, you played it safe, you didn't risk anything. Is real estate investing risky?
Yep.
How about just being in business?
Yeah.
You taking a risk there,
Uh-huh.
right? You've worked with a lot of businesses. Do they all make it? Or
Nope.
do they fail?
They fail.
They do, don't they? Well, here's my point. We've talked all day, you guys, we're done. Talked about business credit all day, but here's the point. If you don't do anything, if you're like, that was nice, I think we'll play it safe, we'll go home, right? Then nothing, you won't have accomplished anything, right? You've got to risk it. You've got to take the risk. The people that work with Ray and I are risk takers. I mean, if you're a risk taker, right, I don't mean throw caution to the wind. I mean calculated risk takers, right? Then we want to work with you, right? If you've got a business model, right, we want to help you with that. Business credit's the way to go. Now, what did Coach Peterson decide to do? Well, he decided to play for the win. So here is what happened. Go ahead and take a look. Final play of the game.
Right. Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe it?
For, just for Brian Todd, I think we should show that one more time.
Go for it.
No, but some people, they watch and they're like, what just happened? All right, let me explain something real quick. This formation is called trips right. And so we have just the lineman here, there's no tight ends, quarterback right here, and we have 3 wide receivers to the right and a single running back in the backfield. This is a formation that Boise State's been in about 5 or 6 times in this whole game. And every time they did it, they ran one play. It was the same play. It was called a bubble screen right. So trips right, bubble screen right. And so the quarterback immediately gets the ball, throws it to this receiver. These 2 guys run up, and this guy runs in underneath for the score. But they also have the option, depending on how the defense lines up, to block down, and he runs to the outside. But the bubble is created by these 2, and he screens left or right, wherever the play opens up. And this has got them all game long about 3 to 5 yards. So here we are in overtime. This is now the 6th, 7th time that the Oklahoma defense has seen this. What do you think they're thinking?
Same thing.
Well, you can tell what they're thinking because look, they've put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys over here. The only person covering the outside is this guy right here. All right.
He shifts.
So here's what happens in this play. The quarterback is right-handed, so when he throws the ball has to be in what hand?
Right.
But when he takes the ball after the snap, he leaves it in his left hand, and he pretends to throw it. This guy pretends to catch it, but what the quarterback does is tuck the ball in his hip, right like this. The running back just stands there for 1 second, picks his nose, and then grabs the ball,
Take off.
right? It's called the Statue of Liberty play. And he runs the ball in to the left. Go ahead and take a look at it one more time.
Right. Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won
We hand it off to that.
Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe it?
He's not too happy.
It was, I mean, to be a part of the greatest game, that's awesome. I call it the greatest game. When you see the top 10 list, it definitely makes the top 10 of greatest games, but some people think there's some Michigan State game that's the best, but they're wrong. So,
Tell us how you really feel about it.
I thought it was the day the Cardinals beat the Cowboys.
oh, college football, top 10 college football. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
All right.
that would have Clemson beating, that would be Texas beating USC.
No, that's close second to Boise State. When they beat
Now we're in the great football.
But
that is good.
But listen, so here's the situation: when you've got a score and you need liquidity in business, you need to get access to capital, or you just can't succeed. You can't do anything. Call on the play that works. Call on the play that nobody else knows about. Right? Call on the play business credit. But this choice set before you, whether or not you decide to work with us, buy our book, maybe even contact us to see if your business qualifies for any of those lending programs that Ray and I were talking about. That's a risk. You're going to have to decide to take. But are you going to play it safe, right? Are you going to play it safe, or are you going to play to win? Right? Guys, remember, the Business Credit Builder Program, $4,997 if you finance over 12 months. Right, that's $1,000 down, $364 a month. Or, I got to change this slide. That's an old slide. It's actually $2,497, not a 20% saving, but a 50% saving. But I tell you what, we're not even going to do that price because today only, no, not that. Okay, that. That's weird. I don't know how that slide got in there. That is weird.
Empire Builders. That was.
I know what happened. This program restarted, didn't it? Oh, so I had a lovely little logo of
It wasn't supposed to be that cheap.
What?
Yeah, I was going to say that looks like something out of Nevada.
Yeah, but I tell you what, those who want to get started today, before you leave, if you wanna get started for 1776, celebrate your financial independence, you can get started, right? For those who don't wanna, pay that today and get started, that's okay. You, are still more than welcome to have it for $2,497 or finance it over 12 months. Because I guarantee you, it's not gonna take you 12 months with your business credit to pay that off.
I need to talk to my partner.
You need to talk to your partners? Well,
Yeah.
do you have a cell phone? I got one if you need to borrow it.
Yeah, let me,
Yeah, go talk to your business partner.
But hey, folks, this is something, Ray and I, we wanna be a blessing to you. This is for you, this is for the community, and, that's all I have for you. There's no shortage of money, man.
kill me if I
There's only a
just-
shortage of people that do whatever it takes
I can't.
to make the dreams come true. God bless you,
Right.
have a
Chuck
good
money
night.
around right now, you know.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ray Fleming, of course, deserves most of that. I think I spoke for,
Thank you guys.
I spoke for a grand total of like 2 hours and the rest of the time was Ray. He did a great job.
Yes, he did.
All right.